Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome on back to the Unified Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier. We are getting into the finals, the grand finals here between two teams that have had to have a hard-fought road to get here. Joining me here today is Smats, as always, as we also have Cubby joining us on yet again as a guest, and for the first time here inside the qualifier, we got Mike Young himself. Lads, first and foremost, how are y'all doing? Smats, what are you feeling, man?
It's a good day for League of Legends, Travesty. We've been doing best of threes the entire tournament long. We're finally in for a full best of 5 series, and from the looks of it, I think it's going to be a pretty darn close one.
Cubby, you share that sentiment? Are you feeling that this is that close game that everybody's been dreaming of?
Man, screw NA versus EU. We've got Amateur versus Academy here. And that is really what I'm here for. I think that when these two teams met in OQs, everyone saw this being the final. The final has been delivered. It's the one best of 5 that we have. And I'm excited to see these two teams go toe-to-toe because I think we could be in for a close series today.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see some of these teams or some of these games because a lot of these players are former teammates or former players that I like playing with in tournaments or duo queuing with. So it's nice seeing like these faces going face to face in a full game of best of 5.
Excited for him. Also gotta have a little sense of heartbreak possibly for him, right? You got teammates, friends on both sides, so calling it down the middle.
Yeah, exactly. It's the rough part is like there can only be one winner at the end of the day, even if it's a close series.
That's what I wanted to see. And hey, we got a graphic here to show the journey that these players had to go through to go throughout this. And 100 Thieves Nets, they had a very fun ride, I would say, going all the way through this, right, Smats?
They haven't lost a single game outside of their first best of 3 in the entire tournament, including the qualifiers. They went 4-0 in the open qualifier. They only lost a single game, and that's continued to be the case here in the playoffs. Also, not gameplay related, I do want to bring up that because 100 Thieves Next is the only amateur team left, they are already getting the most points possible qualifying for Proving Grounds, because Golden Guardians is going to have a different way of qualifying. So that is a good thing for 100 Thieves Next to think about. They have already conquered all of their amateur demons. It's only the Academy boys left.
And hey, the Academy boys are out for revenge here. Talking about teams that have only lost one. Well, hey, look, Golden Guardians, they've only lost one time as well, and that's to 100 Thieves Nets. Cubby, I want to get your thoughts. How are you feeling about Golden Guardians Academy coming in here? You hyped it up already. It's Academy versus Amateur, babe.
So that first matchup, I think that caught a lot of fans by surprise, in which the manner that 100 Thieves Next won that game. Because Golden Guardians were up 4K gold at 15 minutes into the game, and they got straight up hand-checked by the amateur team, which I don't think a lot of people were expecting. Now, when you have the number 1 ranked player in NA in the top lane, former LCS mid, that is the caliber of the 100 Thieves Next roster, but I think that throughout Golden Guardians Academy playing in all 3 leagues, they've really started to level up their play. They're sitting middle of the table in Academy. They've gone up against some of the stronger teams we have in the early season as well. And I think they have some sound strategies that they can run today that can really give 100 Thieves Next run for their money and give them a much better chance to take the series this time around.
Talking about hype, real quick, we got to get into the big hype that is over inside of the top lane here. We got 2 young talents here between Sniper and Tony Top. And Mike Young, you were talking to us about how important you felt this matchup in particular was.
Yeah, I mean, I know these guys really well from just playing with them, playing against them. If one of them gets ahead, then it's going to be a really hard time to catch up. And they're playing super volatile champions like Riven, Renekton. Tony Top, surprisingly, his main champion isn't as much Jax anymore. But I remember back in the day, if he got super ahead in Jax, the game's already over. He's kind of diversified, and so has Sniper. I remember playing against Sniper in Twitch Rivals, and we banned him out 5 champions in a row, and he pulled up another one and still won lane. So excited to see this one.
We'll see if we will see a different champion here. We've seen a lot of the same champions coming out from Sniper. He's got this rotation here. You start banning him out, and he just pulls out another one, just like you were talking about. Going down to the bot side of the map, though, looking at this support matchup's a very interesting one for me, especially after seeing Chime have such a pop-off performance over inside that support role.
We've had the Blitzcrank, that's the premier champion for Chime in these games. He pulled it out yesterday as well to astounding effect. The combination plays that he made with the Twisted Fate gold card seemed completely unbeatable if you didn't take Cleanse, and turns out they didn't take Cleanse in that mid lane, so many free pickings there. I've been very, very impressed by Chime all throughout every single tournament that he's played, including last year as well. This guy's been a standout for quite some time now. And I mean, on the other side, Dombre has done a phenomenal job. I think it's safe to say that he has been the most consistent and best performing support in all of Amateur. He did have an off day yesterday. I think he definitely did struggle to keep up with some of the map movements that specifically Mordio was making against him, and it caused him to look a little bit less coordinated than usual. He's going to need to bounce back in order to take down a Titan like Chime.
Chime is definitely looking fierce at this moment, and talking about fierce competition, there's a stat line that makes every single time I see it, that makes my jaw drop just because I see the KDA of it, and it's back into this bot lane matchup between these two AD carries, Stitze and Array. They've been popping off here, Cubby. It's been disgusting.
I think this has been kind of... I'm curious like how Stitze feels about stepping in as a coach to play, because as someone who, played at an incredibly high level and it has throughout his career, it's kind of feels like a goodbye tour almost. But the way that Stitze has been going about it, he is playing great League of Legends right now. That game 2 yesterday where he pulled out the Caitlyn was fantastic. And then on the flip side, Array, he is the premier team fighting AD carry that we had in Amateur last year. I think myself and a lot of others were surprised that Array didn't land on an Academy roster. Well, he still landed on what I believe is a top 4 Academy team in 100 Thieves Next in the Amateur squad. And his team fighting throughout this event has been premier and will need to be on point again today, as I really think that team fighting is where 100 Thieves Next has their biggest advantage against GGA. And the way that they can take down this Academy squad is through these 5v5s. So really want to see if Array can bring it today, or if Stitze can shut him down earlier in the game and put together some more pentakills. He's randomly had 2 this tournament. It's been wild.
Yeah.
2.
I like that you brought up the competitiveness against Academy teams as well there, Cubby, because it's very clear from the jump that this 100 Thieves Next squad was built to be competitive with the top of the table at Academy. We've made the joke constantly over the past month that this team has an advantage over the Academy teams, is that they're actually able to bring Sniper on their team. He's too young to even play in the Academy League.
Yeah.
So bringing all of these superstars into this team, making sure that they are going to be competitive all throughout, even taking Insanity straight out of LCS, this is their end goal, alongside getting these players signed at the end of the year as well, to be competitive with the top of the table. And I think this is where that all can start with this best of 5.
Mike Young, you've played in just about every single tier of competition inside of League of Legends here. Ryoma and Insanity, they have met each other in LCS, and now they're meeting each other as Academy versus Amateur. How are you feeling looking at this matchup across the board here?
I think with recency, Amateur and Academy aren't really far off at all, really. The top Amateur teams are competing with the top Academy teams. I'd say that 100 Thieves Next is actually really stacked, even compared to the top Academy teams. Just knowing, like, Insanity and General Sniper for the solo lanes, like, they're really good players, like, close to top Academy, LCS level at their shining points. I generally do think General Sniper can, be one of the best players just from experience, just playing against him in solo queue and even in tournament play, and he has a lot of time.
I mean, you've had some good words about Insanity as well, by the way. One of my most iconic moments watching throughout the qualifiers was actually seeing you talking about Insanity at the very beginning, man. So You still feeling hyped up on him?
Yeah, I'm still feeling hyped on him for sure. I might have interrupted here, but he's my ex-teammate, and I'm rooting for my ex-teammate, and I think he has the work ethic and the skills to back up, getting back into the LCS. He's definitely deserving of that as long as he puts in, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that you bring that up because we are in a split where there were quite a few players that were on the border of playing an academy that decided to not play an amateur and maybe call it a day or wait it out a split. Insanity's not that person. The drive and the work ethic that he's showing by kind of dropping his ego and saying, you know what, we are a good team. I know that this is amateur, but I can step in and be really useful. And I know that like from behind the scenes, he's helping Sniper with one-on-ones, like picking up some of these big macro concepts and helping evolve Sniper to be a better player. And the fact that Insanity is like able to show this maturity at such a young age, and then you combine that with his play on the Rift too. This guy's playing really good League. I've been loving the Vigar mid-game spikes. I think this Vigar-Viego combo that they're running is actually really good with all the upfront damage from Vigar, combining that with the Viego resets. So I think that Insanity is somewhat, pioneering something. But on the flip side, I think Ryoma's playing the best League of Legends that he has in his career. Keep in mind, this is someone that was on the 100 Thieves Academy squad last year that won Proving Grounds. So I think it would mean a lot to Ryoma to take the win here. I know it's just amateur. I know these guys are playing at all three levels, but I would like to believe he's playing with a bit of a chip on his shoulder today.
I mean, this is two people who, honestly, like, we've even seen, like, Papa Smithy come out and have a lot of praise for both of these players. Publicly, like, we've seen them say that this 100 Thieves Nets roster can take on LCS teams. We have seen Ryoma be a player that was devoted to and have those resources thrown in, and it's been something phenomenal to be able to see. And you see these rosters unfolding here before us. But there's one matchup we really haven't touched on here, Smats, and I'm kind of curious, how are you feeling about this jungle matchup?
Well, coming off of yesterday, I think it's a bit of a different look than what we would be used to seeing coming in for Iconic and Fnatic. And that's mainly just because of how good Mordio and Winthrop looked just yesterday. Their early games were really good. I think it really caught Fnatic off by surprise. He's definitely the kind of person to take that very personally. Talking from him over the past year and a little bit before that as well, he's definitely the kind of guy to be like, yeah, that's my fault. I should have seen this coming. I will be prepared for this matchup against Iconic. And that, to me, just like makes me super excited for this, because I was pretty impressed by all four junglers that played yesterday. And they're in a meta that is very much around facilitation and playing things that will get your team going in the early game. Things like the Xin Zhao, the Jarvan. There are different looks from both of them. Cubby, you already mentioned the Diana for Iconic and then also the Viego for Fnatic. But for the most part, I think whichever jungler comes out and will be able to facilitate their team the best is going to come out as the winning jungler today. Yeah. With that in mind, there's also two angles they can go, because we've seen both these teams play the top and bot.
So I want to throw this over to Mike Young, because he's definitely the resident jungle expert that we have here. But it is important to note going into this, Fnatic's undefeated on Viego. It is his most played in this tournament. And Iconic, across all levels of play, is 5-2 on the Viego, which is his second most played. So that might be very contested. I kind of say the Diana just because they've actually shown they can win games with the Diana Yasuo. But I'm kind of curious, someone obviously jungled at an insanely high level and knows these players a little bit more. Is there anything that you're expecting to see from these guys from the tape, Mike?
So with how volatile the side laners are and solo laners are because of their high skill level, I'm assuming to see more aggressive picks, like especially from the mid lane that pair up with aggressive junglers like TF, for example, like being contested, or roaming picks like even Silas or LeBlanc, even though those are not like the typical control mages. Maybe we'll get a surprise, assassin, but it's unlikely in that case. But I'd say like TF is one of my favorites that I know that they can both like pull out at any time with an aggressive jungler. Maybe we'll see Syndra as well with Viego. These are the type of picks that I think will facilitate the aggression that you'll see with the Tony top versus the Sniper in the top lane, which is one roam can snowball that entire matchup for the rest of the game.
I like how you bring up TF. We should pull up 5Fire's TF win rate in the break.
He was very high up on that.
I remember
yesterday
when I was playing with him in amateur, I'd be like, "Give me that TF, give me that TF." I'm playing a carry jungler.
I want to see what the Destiny has here. I want to see what the casters have in store for us as we have our predictions that are here. And wow, this is a lot more 100 Thieves than what I thought here.
Okay, so notably here, like you said, Cubby, Orbital is winning. DJ could pull ahead and tie it up for 2 crowns. He's the only person that's in contention at this point. So I like that he's going the other way.
Amateur bias here is incredible. I'm kind of
that's
a fan.
true as well.
I'm honestly amazed. How are y'all feeling about this? Mike Young, are you in the same boat? Are you leaning more heavily towards 100 Thieves? Do they have your heart as well?
I think it's pretty obvious that 100 Thieves has my heart with how I'm hyping up their solo laners.
Hey, okay, the solo laners is enough to win a jungler's heart. You heard it here. Cubby, how are you? Are you showing that amateur bias? You got that academy, stuff that you're working on here. You got to think about it. It could be clipped.
Bit conflicting. Based on how the teams played yesterday, GGA would 3-0 or 3-1. But I have faith that 100 Thieves next can clean up their early games and not share the same level 1 on red every single game as well. So I'm hoping that and Donbray matching a couple more roams changes things for 100 Thieves next. Make sure that they are going into these team fights closer to even footing. And that's really where things hit their stride for them. I've got them taking this 3-2. I think we're going to be here for a while, gentlemen. This is going to be a close series.
I'm a fan of Cubby predictions. I am a fan. Give me the 5-game series. Smats, have you changed yours since yesterday?
Yeah, so for context, if you're just tuning in today, yesterday 100 Thieves won their match 2-0. Before that, I predicted that they would 2-0 yesterday and 3-0 today, and no matter what. And then I watched Golden Guardians play, and I definitely second-guessed that. But I'm not one to back down from a prediction. I'm sticking by it. I'm going for the full undefeated streak in the playoffs. 3-0 100 Thieves. And I'm probably going to be wrong, but you know what? I'm sticking to it.
I respect that. Even after, you heard Don Bray say, wait, we have a best of 5 tomorrow? Hold on.
That was eye-opening for him, I'm sure.
Gotta watch those bedtimes.
Look, healthy mind, healthy body, gotta go with it. Let us know who you guys have by tweeting at us, #WeAreUnified, to let your predictions be known, or ask whatever questions, let your thoughts be known for a chance for your tweet to be shown here on the Academy broadcast, where you can ask all sorts of questions. Like, you could ask Mike Young who his favorite duo partner is out of every player playing inside of this game. Put him on the spot. Do it. Do the #WeAreUnified. Let's find out.
I want to know if Mike Young wakes up that cute, or if he has to do all the work, to make him look this dapper. Look at him, man.
Dang, you're too much, man.
Wow. I wasn't ready for that one. Gentlemen, we are moments away from our match coming up. Smat, since you got some words on your mind here, apparently. Last thoughts. What are you looking at here going into this series? What is your before the games begin to start?
Well, we were talking a lot about the draft before we got live, and we do know that Golden Guardians is taking blue side for game 1. I'll credit Cubby for this as well. He said that it was probably going to be that way throughout the entire best of 5. I do agree with him. I think 100 Thieves definitely wants to be on red for the most part. The only way that I could see that changing is if we get to a situation where 100 Thieves are up like 2-0 and Golden Guardians wants to shake things up in the top lane. Because I have been known to criticize Tony Top's blind pick capabilities in this top lane. I think that would be a way to shake things up. But hopefully for Golden Guardians it doesn't come to that, and hopefully they do stick with this blue side strategy that they looked so good on yesterday.
I think to go off of that, I want to really look out to see what 100 Thieves bans on red to open up. I think you have to take away the Diana and the Caitlyn, and you really have to think about taking away that TF from Ryoma. But there's a lot of openers that GGA could do on blue, like Jinx Ophelio's first pick that Stixxay has been fantastic on, or you could give Stixxay an Ezreal. As you just mentioned, we've seen Karma open from GG. I'm curious to see if maybe they spec that way to kind of combat the team fight. Other picks, Gwen Viego. Tony Top, 9-1 on the Gwen across all levels of play. I don't want to see him get that champion. If he does, really hope the Sniper has something fun to prep against it.
As for me, I'm just looking at specifically whether each team decides to play top side or bot side. Considering, from my point of view, I'm guessing 100 Thieves might lean towards the top side, but Golden Guardians seem well versed. They're experienced. They have all that practice. They can probably do both ways. It's going to be depending on draft here.
There, we're gonna get to see the draft unfold before our very eyes, but here to navigate us through it and guide us through all the possible chaos we might be able to see here, we got Deserts and Rebel Fox on the mic. So gentlemen, take it away.
Welcome to the casting desk, and thank you, Travi. My name is Eric Deserux Patran. Joining me on the desk is Dean Rebel Fox Merrick. And Dean, let's get into this right away because we got quite the matchup in store. On one side of the rift, 100 Thieves next. This is a pro org that has dived deep and heavy into NA developmental and has pushed a lot of prospects within their alumni. And then Golden Guardians Academy, the only academy team to come in here, and they're fighting on multiple fronts. The LCS lock-in, LCS Academy, LCS Proving Ground Circuit Qualifiers right here, and they're not floundering. Both teams have a hype train. Only one can be derailed, Dean.
I'm really excited for two specific reasons. Number one, walking into this tournament, we got our chance to watch all the way through open qualifiers, and we ended up in a situation where these two teams were at the end. I don't think that was unexpected by any single person. That game was a banger, also. Went down to two full base races before finally it was completed from the side of 100 Thieves, even though they were sitting at a goal deficit. I think that game was it was an exciting setup for what everybody expected was going to be the finals as well. So here we are, the culmination of the entire split. Plenty of surprises along the way. But we finally got into the chance in which both teams are going to be in a position that we expected them to be. The second reason I'm excited, you didn't call me no nonsense Rebel Fox, so I get to be nonsensical all broadcast long because you didn't limit me this time.
It's the grand finals, Dean. I gotta let you be unleashed in this one as we are ready to head into draft now. I want to know what has you excited for this matchup. I gotta echo some of what I heard on the analyst desk. Sniper versus Tony Top is going to be a hot one. Breaking down Sniper a little bit more, he's the second highest KDA in his role, second to Alorum, but that really doesn't tell you too much. Alorum plays a lot of these hard to kill champions, which keeps his death count really low. Sniper has the most kills, third most assists in his role, all within 9 games. He is a hype prospect here on 100 Thieves next.
100%. Sniper is a big difference maker inside of this game because that was perhaps the one series where Tony Top did look at least a little bit lost, was in their one matchup up in over qualifiers. Because it was funny, Golden Guardians had set up this top side play in an attempt to get him going, and it failed, and then immediately Fnatic turned back up to that top side, got Sniper rolling a second time in that game, and gave them an additional way to start closing off the remainder of the map. Our desk talked about it. I want to just talk about for a second our desk smurfing this draft already, because they talked about 100 Thieves, they nailed all three of their bans right off the bat. Golden Guardians went aggressive and they went, okay, we're going to take off Jace, we're going to take off Akali in an attempt to pitch off Sniper's role. But here's Sniper saying, I'm going to play the Gwen. It's my champion now. You get a chance to counterpick, but I don't know. Wait, let's see what you've got, Tony Top. He's had 2 games of red side counterpick. Both of them were Fiora. Is he busting out the Fiora in game number 1? I'm not exactly sure, but that's been his choice. The Jax would be far more entertaining, and I love that he's going for it in game number 1 for a bit of comfort back in the day.
Oh, yes, the Jax being locked in for Tony Top. I remember, sometime around summer 2020, 2021, was it? One of those years. But basically, he had an undefeated streak on this Jax whenever he was able to lock it in and get it onto that top lane. So, exciting champion to see get locked in. It's one of the pocket picks of Tony Top, as well as Chime going for the Thresh. A little less hype on the Hook champion. He's been going with the Blitzcrank quite a bit now, but this is more of a comfort pick for him, as for 2022 so far, he has been leaning a lot into that Thresh.
For 2 things I want to mention, at least over the course of this draft. First off, for Golden Guardians, I love the comfort that they get in the Jax. Their bottom side is a little more quiet when it comes to the pure laning, but I'm okay with Stixxay's Aphelios. He's been performing extremely well in it over the course of the tournament, and Chime is actually insanely good at Thresh. When he first stepped into the Academy scene and eventually onto the full roster of Golden Guardians, his Thresh was what he was working on a lot in solo queue. I remember his streams on it, practicing that champion more than playing the Bard like he had in solo queue before that, his classic namesake, and he was incredible at it. He was absolutely flexing on people, showing me how to play Thresh a little bit inside of solo queue. On the opposite side, though, I think they've arrived at a win condition I wanted to set out for 100 Thieves before this whole game had actually come through, which is Fnatic. I think Fnatic outpaces Iconic in the early game immensely, and if Golden Guardians want to try to attack, they have to try to establish Ryoma or Chime in the course of this game to have map impact, because Iconic has not been that guy. And in this game, Fnatic, he gets his Xin Zhao. It's insanely powerful champion to start off the early game with.
Yeah, so just waiting to see what Iconic goes with here, what's going to be contesting the Xin Zhao in this matchup, because Iconic, even though he's more of a low kill participation, low damage, he's really good at applying map pressure combined with Chime. So just waiting to see what that duo jungle support is going to be locked in.
Interesting. It's a solid setup for teamfight that we have right now from the side of 100 Thieves. And I think it was Cubby, but their entire desk had mentioned it a couple of times, where team fighting is a massive play that could come through from the side of 100 Thieves. And they're clearly trying to exploit that now. They've got the Jinx for Array on the bottom side. Should be scaling pretty well, especially alongside the Braum in the earlier stage of the game. And they've got some control. Also, one of the best team fighting top laners in the Gwen. What I think they need is a little more CC, and they need some more magic damage. And it actually brings to mind the fact that Sword exists in the mid lane for this team, and the Galio was something that could have slotted into this composition pretty mean in that particular regard. But for Insanity, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Victor. And the opposite side, I mean, you get the Syndra. That champion's not been faring well inside of this tournament. I already don't like that champion. The champion has not been doing well, so I at least get to justify it with stats now, which is rather nice. And we're getting, as well, Iconic's kind of typical carry performer in the jungle in this Viego, which has been his go-to throughout the entirety of the tournament when he wants to be farming and eventually start applying pressure to more of the fighting.
I'm actually kind of excited to see what the Syndra can bring into this one. More specifically because you do get an essence of pick by having Scatter the Weak, but combined with Chime, if he's ever able to get out of that lane, a lot of the things we've been seeing out of Golden Guardians Academy is free up Chime. He runs the map when it comes to the mid lane, when it comes to the bot lane, and you're always second guessing. This is definitely going to be a test for Insanity to make sure he's watching the bottom lane, watching any of the side bushes very closely.
It's of interest to me here because actually, if I'm looking at where the best setup is for Fnatic to attack the map, it's into the bottom lane, right? You've got this Braum, you've got the Chompers alongside it, you have easy ways to apply that passive, the concussive blows, to be able to set up for your bottom side of the map, which was what we thought the game plan was going to be from the side of Golden Guardians. But when you're playing against the Syndra, which has its own disengage against the Xin Zhao, you're playing against the Jax, against an auto-attack type champion, where like you can at least try to deny the knock-up and things along those lines, and you don't have perfect kind of a setup CC for your jungler to be able to step into the lane with, it starts to cause problems, or at least it's a little bit harder to try to substantiate a gank in those lanes. So to me, I feel like Fnatic's actually taken a role of attacking towards bottom, which is not where we expected 100 Thieves to go. And if Chime starts roaming, right, you could see more coverage for the Jax, which could be very mean, and for Ryoma, which could be very mean, and set those two up for success. But then your bottom lane is weaker, and that's of interest to me as well, because if this game one is indicative of how the rest of the series is gone, I feel like we flipped the script now of where we expected Golden Guardians and 100 Thieves to land. I think the desk would agree with me, because they also had the same kind of inkling coming into this one.
Yeah, and getting into that bottom lane matchup a little bit more, Stixxay versus Array, this is a very high-profile matchup, because when it comes to this tournament, just Array and Stixxay are two names that were very much hyped up. Array coming out of UST, I remember that Darling roster with Robbie, Katsuo, and all of them. He was a big part of UST's success. He's been so much more well-refined while being 100 Thieves next, and the analyst desk talked about it a lot, the wealth of experience that you get from an EDC like Stixxay.
I feel as though what has really defined some of the AD role over the course of this tournament has been ADCs who are capable of staying incredibly safe in the laning phase. And the trick to Array is that while other people like Stixxay has fallen into this role, not necessarily because he's had like the Callista, we're not going to talk about that, and then Jhin performances as well. But then also you had like Vex, who was playing the Ezreal over the course of the semifinals, and a bunch of other ADCs who fell into that role as well. Array's team fighting is something we've given him praise for since back when he was on like Resolve in the last split, and he had a lot of fantastic performances inside of those team fights while maintaining safety. This is perhaps the best setup for him to be able to do that in, and it's shown off in this tournament, which is why I think Stixxay is going to be able to match that. Stixxay's got the experience to fit what Array is going to be going for, but it is at least a strength for 100 Thieves composition. And so the bottom lane 2-on-2, again, I'm actually favoring Jinx and Braum in this if we're expecting Chime to start moving, and I'm also expecting pressure from Fnatic. So I'm curious whether or not Iconic is going to notice this and try to play more to the top side, try to get Tony top and Ryoma going, or if he's going to play defensive, try to get Stixxay out of the laning phase, or do something to kind of thwart that potential pressure.
I will say, Stixay is one of the harder ADCs to actually really shut down in that bottom lane, even when Chime does get freed. Of course, Aphelios is not a champion that's going to complement that as well, but it's just Stixay's been playing such a multitude of styles within this tournament alone. You know, you talked about it a second ago, the passive safe Ezreal that allows Chime to roam free, but the balls to the wall Callista that you hate so much that, what was it, Wildcard they pulled that out in, just went full aggro into that bottom lane. So, hype matchup to see there. Over in the mid lane, one of the things that pops out to me again over on 100 Thieves Next is the way they've mixed up a lot of their experience along with their new players. Insanity has been such a pivotal role in 100 Thieves Next in development of both Sniper and Dawnbray and bringing in those players up to the same standard.
Yeah, Insanity being this massive experience for this squad is helpful for a lot of the development for the players. I feel like he's also been a lot of the absorber in the earlier stages of the game. It's like if 100 Thieves doesn't necessarily know where to translate a bunch of their resources, they just go, okay, let's put it into Insanity and figure out what to do from there. And that's arisen at least in a couple of games that I've been able to watch from them over the course of the entirety of the tournament, which means Insanity also is just willing to take this onto his back. He's willing to play the Victor, the Corki, and then immediately start attacking the remainder of the map. It's very hard to shut him out in the laning phase, and from that, it's also very hard to stop him because he gets going pretty much no matter what, which makes it difficult. When we walked into this thinking that it was Insanity versus Ryoma, clearly this is probably on paper the hardest matchup that Insanity is going to have, but I was kind of hoping Golden Guardians would give something with a bit more agency over to Ryoma to try to get him roaming too, and all of a sudden if you compare Chime and Ryoma, if Iconic's not going to be ganking a lot more than he had previously, you can combat the aggression of Fnatic. That doesn't seem to be the case in this game. Instead, they're going to take some of the earlier pressure that Simbra's going to have, maybe use it in some skirmishes, but most likely the champion's not going to pull full priority of the mid lane over Insanity like I might have wanted.
That's what makes this mid lane matchup pretty exciting to me, is that Ryoma's always been that in-your-face mid laner. He's always the one who's going to go for that 1v1 play, just try and kill you straight up. Chime, of course, complementing that quite a bit. Insanity has been that strong, safe mid laner. You know, he always tends to come out ahead with the CS lead. He's always warding a lot, trying to stay safe into that lane. He just plays pretty much a brick wall control mage mid lane. He does.
It's like a unstoppable object versus an immovable object type deal that we have between these two potentially to set up, but we'll see how that kind of thing plays out, because as our mid lane matchups go, these are two of our more technical. Both of them have been at the highest level of competitiveness here inside of North America, so our expectations aren't necessarily that they get into fish fights to begin the game and things just go a lot crazier to start things off. We expect a little bit more reservation perhaps out of these two for the respect they might hold for one another.
Gonna be watching the volatility of this top lane. Tony Top, Sniper. Talked about it on the analyst test. Both these players like to play fighters. They like to play side lane control, and they like to play coin flippy matchups, to say the least.
It's this tournament, I feel like they've really kind of put the shackles a bit onto Tony Top's pool, because Tony Top hasn't been pulling out nearly as much of this as he has. And again, part of this was because he was on blue side the vast majority of the tournament. The priority for that for Golden Guardians has been high, and they've been picking him champions that you wouldn't necessarily see. Gwen has been incredible. His Camille from back in last split when he was developing it was also incredible. But the Renekton was not great, so I'm glad that they didn't go back to Renekton to any extent. Kind of hoping they don't do that during the course of the series. You could see both junglers also pathing towards this lane. I feel as though if you're going to start a cascade on the map, top lane is a place where putting some resources could be helpful, right? If Fnatic ends up there first, gets Sniper ahead, all of a sudden the matchup gets far more favorable. They have a bit stronger of a top side to work with, and the ability to move a lot faster with your team fighter. If Tony Top gets ahead, that means Sniper is kind of locked into a side lane a lot more. It's more difficult to manage getting out and getting away to some of the fights. It allows Tony Top to play for more of the side lane, which is what he's been accustomed to since he really made introductions into competitive, amateur, academy, whatever you want to say.
You see Iconic already eyeballing that side of the rift. Gonna meet now is gonna be Fnatic and Iconic going for the same Scuttle Crab. Both of the mid laners kind of peeling off into that direction. And I believe the net win there is gonna be Fnatic, who's able to get the Scuttle.
Yeah, was able to snag the Scuttle. Additionally, Cam Skip wasn't there. Waiting on Dawnbray. The shield was necessary to make sure that was going to happen. This would have opened up for Iconic to actually come back to bottom side, because they would have had the push from Stixay and from Chime, but unfortunately it seems like that's not the case. Was he just body blocked by that minion? Is that what was happening right there?
Yeah, he got body blocked into
just
a
got
minion.
body blocked by
Donbray tried
a
to take
minion.
advantage of it. So close to getting that winner's bite, but that's a flash burn early for Stixay.
Oh, goodness gracious. How tragic of a beginning to this laning phase can you possibly have? Now Iconic gets a chance to play up into the top side.
Ooh, Sniper taking a lot of damage. Will he be first blood in this fight? The answer is going to be yes. Tony Top asserts dominance on his baby, the Jax.
Very, very nice. You see that Fnatic, he pathed towards bottom side to secure the second scuttle of the game, having both of those basically a camp advantage after the deficits and everything. The thought was, like, I was like, okay, Iconic could technically cross back because he's got the push on bottom side, but since the flash was burnt, and Fnatic ended up showing on the bottom side of the map, it ended up being that, Fnatic sees his opportunity on top side. There's no one there to actually respond, so he's able to get up there and kind of throw a wrench, or my apologies, Iconic is able to get up there and throw a wrench into everything to help set up his top laner, which was desperately necessary. Tony Top was down absurd amounts of CS to start with against Sniper, and since both of them don't have flash, the summoner spells going against both of them, the lane is just more equalized. We're expecting a bit of a quieter top lane now.
Yeah, more equalized, a little bit more EXP going over to Tony Top to try and at least equalize the EXP dip that's going on from that first blood. But pushed back right into the tower. Now looking at mid lane, you're starting to see some roaming coming out of the bot lane of Golden Guardians Academy. This is what we're expecting. Chime to get out from that bot lane and try and set up Ryoma.
Ooh. You just show up in mid lane, but unfortunately, again, Insanity is a tough nut to crack. There are a lot of mid laners that Chime has been able to kind of roam against, other laners just in general in top side that he's been able to find success against, but Insanity seems like one that's going to be the hardest to actually accomplish this with. Perhaps this is why the Syndra ended up getting taken as a way to try to generate this offense where, like, the combination of Syndra with the Thresh is enough to CC him to death, or at least force Insanity to play very far back in the lane. It's the same when Iconic starts to come, is you've got setup CC, potentially gank in the early lane towards Insanity if things were on that line.
We have quite a bit of danger from Chime roaming because of that little minion block that we saw earlier. It can be punished quite quickly. Aphelios is not one of the better champions at staying safe. It's not the Ezreal that we were talking about before. So Chime definitely has to watch those timings quite closely.
They've been making the pushing power work as well. Chime hasn't been able to step out nearly as much, and I don't expect that to be the case for most of the earlier laning phase. All it takes is one W and one Q from Braum to immediately burn a flash, or even just potentially kill off Stixay inside of this game. So you have to keep your eyes on the Aphelios a little more than you would want to. So I feel like that latches Chime to the bottom lane more than you would normally want him to be in a game like this, where you really want him to have this impact across the map. But so far, nothing going too crazy anywhere. It has just mostly been traded waves, everything along the line. Just the one gank to the top lane that led to the 500 gold lead. First blood gold going into the pockets of Tony Top, going to help him out a little bit in the top lane matchup. I'm curious where these dragons also lead, because 100 Thieves, I feel like they really want to leverage a lot of the power they've got in the 5-on-5. The best way to do that is to control the Drake Pit in the bottom river, but their bottom lane has been pushed in a number of different times, and Syndra should be able to pick up steam against the Victor here after the Null Magic Mantle pickup, which means that mid lane should also go to the favor of Golden Guardians. So to me, they actually are the ones that now get to see, hey, Dragon is a potential option for us to start taking, so that they don't get control of team fighting, they don't get to pick that. Instead, we get to start fights on our terms.
A lot of priority going over to Golden Guardians Academy in the mid lane, in the bottom lane. Here comes the hook, over the wall comes Fnatic. The target is going to be Stixay, exhaust onto Stixay, half health is Array. Out comes the Lantern, a good sidestep, looking to block whatever damage he can. Is going to be Chime, but it's not going to be enough though. Stixay falls, Fnatic able to get the kill, 100 Thieves next. They're able to snap back.
Well played into the bottom side here for Fnatic. Again, finding aggression. It's off the back of a hook. Right there, it seemed like Stixay and Chime, they were half committed to the idea maybe of Stixay just losing a life. The Lantern was there, but it wasn't far enough away. Chime maybe trying some trickery to make sure that they didn't know exactly when it was going to come out. And because of that, it feels like they didn't get all of the distance that could have been possible. Again, the counterplay could have been there from the Xin Zhao at the level 6 to be able to stop that kind of thing. And maybe they were trying to figure out a way to get him out, and it just wasn't fast enough. So this is Fnatic first making a move towards his bottom lane, shutting out a lot of the farm from Stixay as well. This is setting up Array in a really solid way, but again, it also opens up bottom river for that dragon stacking to set up that 5-on-5. This is exactly what I think 100 Thieves had in mind when it came to this composition.
Good start so far coming out from 100 Thieves. We got to look at that gank that came out for Fnatic, because coming in at the right time and just splitting Stixay away from his support.
When did he hit level 6? He didn't have level 6 at this point, so I'm a little bit curious why the Lantern didn't come out a lot faster. Just because, again, this is a champion that obviously, like, Chime has piloted more than enough to know the Lantern. I know Stixay has played with this champion more than enough to understand that. That felt like a really late Lantern. It feels like that could have been dropped almost immediately to turn around. I don't know if they thought they could potentially put extra damage into this. I don't really know what the call was there, unfortunately, between the bottom lanes, what caused that lantern to come out so late. Maybe it was even a cooldown problem. Maybe he had used it to get into the lane a little bit faster, and that's why it wasn't quite up for Chime until it was a little bit too late. I thought Fnatic had hit level 6 and he could have knocked him out of it, but it doesn't seem like that was the case. So just a loss on the bottom side, and again, more pressure put down there. Solid job from 100 Thieves.
Right here, Chime going to leave the lane right away to try and provide some extra pressure to ensure that this Rook Herald is secured. Iconic starting it now. Fnatic not going to be the wiser to it. So much priority coming out from Golden Guardians and their draft so far. In the mid lane, able to shove in is going to be Ryoma. The top lane, Tony Top, really taking it to Sniper Wolf. So it's hard for Fnatic to get out of his jungle and find a place to pressure.
Yeah, Fnatic, again, I feel like just has to double, triple down into the bottom lane eventually, and that means that Golden Guardian solo laners have to take quite a bit of what's going to happen inside of this game into their own hands. They have to take a champion like Syndra, more importantly a champion like Jax, and figure out a way to carry through 100 Thieves composition with it. Iconic here, I mean, he's just going to drop the Rift Herald, he's going to shove off Sniper, make sure he's not around for this, and there is no coverage. Insanity doesn't quite have TP, will be up soon, but this is almost certainly going to be first tower for the Jax and for the Viego, which is the carry champion selection for the side of Iconic, which means, again, it's a top side game now for Golden Guardians, not something they're super accustomed to. Their bot lane has really been the crux of their team all tournament, and yet here they are. They have to play the top side. Let's see if they can win on that condition.
That's pretty nice to see Tony Top pop off. Good start coming out from Golden Guardians Academy, challenging the prospect over in the top lane of 100 Thieves Next. Now 100 Thieves Next making their move on the opposite side of the map. Dragon started by Fnatic. First strike will be picked up over to 100 Thieves Next. A lot of pressure going to the bot lane as well, as Array is able to pick up some of those plates. And speaking of pressure, it's going to be pretty insurmountable if Sniper doesn't get any backup here from Tony Top soon.
Potentially, the Gwen is relatively safe. I feel like it's difficult for the Jax to just outright win this laning phase this early on into the game, especially with no sort of previous wounds to talk about either, which means the ultimate from Sniper alongside the Ignite. I mean, the Ignite is up for Tony Top, but if that isn't there, there's just no way to deny any healing, which means that Sniper just gets the ability to heal through most of the trades, and it makes it difficult for just like the pure melee matchup to go in the way of Tony Top quite yet. It takes a little while for that really to come online, and I think that's the breaking point of this game, which is Golden Guardians, when does Tony Top start commanding enough of the side lane to where Sniper can no longer be there, and or can you get him to that point, versus how quickly can 100 Thieves transition into this 5-on-5 team fight they're looking for, especially around the Dragons. Does it require you going all the way up to 4 Dragons before that's the case? Because I feel like Jax will eventually outscale that, but if it only takes 2 Dragons before you're baiting Golden Guardians into your clutches, that's where things can go well.
Ooh, a great scatter of the week onto Insanity, who takes a good chunk of damage. Chime tries to walk in the flash over the wall. Insanity will be able to get to safety. A good timed flash there.
The bullying continues in the mid lane. They're just trying to help out Ryoma as much as possible, puts Insanity in a bit of a hole. And Sniper, again, not even having to burn the ultimate right there to get away, just making sure he's going to be able to step out. You can see the bullying from Tony Top as Gold's in his pocket. He has the completed mythic item, but it's not quite enough to just outright win that pure laning phase. And mid lane, Insanity now has no flash. This is the point where maybe they could try to exploit that a little further, especially with Iconic, or if Chime can find another roam here. Again, just taking into the top side as much as possible. Fnatic now to cover for top lane. They got Dawnbray as well. They're just going to full commit, and the back, unfortunately, means he's on his lonesome.
Alright, the leap strike coming in, gets knocked up by the 3 talent strike. Waiting for the counter strike, trying to get some damage onto Fnatic, see if he can finish off the job. Actually, Fnatic getting low there. Tony Top will fall. Sniper able to grab the kill.
He gets the flash. He gets a lot out there right there. From Fnatic, the ultimate. From Sniper, the ultimate, the Ignite. The flash from Fnatic was, I feel, a little bit unnecessary. Even the exhaust from Dawnbray. Took all 5 of those tools just to be able to bring down Tony Top. And the exchange is that now Aphelios gets to pick up some additional plates on the bottom side of the map. So does Sniper pick up enough plates to actually warrant this? Because again, you're now trading a bit of pressure, from Sniper, where like he now gets a bit on the top side in exchange for Stixay getting some reprieve on the bottom side of the map. I feel as though this goes against 100 Thieves and their kind of general game plan. I don't mind the idea of slowing down Tony Top to make sure he's in less comfortable state, especially now that Sniper's even on kills. But you have to be careful about allowing Aphelios back into this game, because that's the 5-on-5 tool that Golden Guardians has against your composition.
Yeah, we talked about Stixay's positioning in a lot of these team fights. Can be a threat if he's allowed to get to that late game. If you leave him unchecked, he will take those tower plates. He will continue farming. Getting the better so far has been Array, but Stixay is making up for it very slowly. It's now putting pressure over towards this top side. It is going to be Golden Guardians Academy. You can tell 100 Thieves next are more focused towards the bot side of the map. They definitely want to play for that Drake win condition. Try and get Golden Guards Academy to play towards their hand. But Golden Guards Academy, they know they have a break in the armor of 100 Thieves next towards this top side. And steal away a lot of the camps, a lot of the resources of 100 Thieves next.
They're playing split map pretty well right now on the side of Golden Guardians, just denying as much topside kind of ammunition as possible from 100 Thieves. It's culminated in a 2,000 gold lead, which isn't humongous. A fair amount of that is going to be in Tony Top. It's also a fair amount of it right now is actually an Iconic from the amount he's been able to farm as well, in terms of what gold, as well as in the mid lane. Again, this top side of the map here for Golden Guardians hasn't been able to full push this advantage that they've had, but again, it's been developing slowly over the course of the laning phase, which is humongous, because these are the players that you're looking for to help carry this game. I'm waiting on Iconic as well. There have been games where Iconic has gone crazy on this Viego pick. He oftentimes is very slow and methodical with how he approaches the beginning of the game. Sometimes it seems like he's even going out of his way to make sure that he is making sure that he's in a position to do damage. He's in a position to carry games before trying to set his entire team up for a lot of success. This is a game that's gone so slowly that I feel like that punishment window for Fnatic has started to go away. It started to close very heavily, and that means Iconic is going to start having a lot more impact inside a game like this. His ability to take over another champion, to team fight, to put out damage is definitely there, or at least arriving at that location for Golden Guardians. You can see they're trying to actually muscle away a little bit of the win condition from 100 Thieves. They snag a dragon. It slows down so much of what 100 Thieves wants to do. Insanity still has no flash.
He has no flash. He's in the wrong spot, wrong time. Iconic will take him down. 100 Thieves next, losing Insanity. They're going to lose any positioning they would have onto this Drake. Golden Guardians Academy in a better position now as they start to look for more in the mid lane. Chime looking to find that death sentence, gets knocked out by the Glacial Fisher instead, going to flay them backwards, but gets destroyed by Array. Now Array is excited, able to get those autos. It's completely unchecked. Array will tear apart Golden Guardians Academy, able to get the double kill. Stixxay walking away, oh so slow in the process. Will they go for the dive? Nope, a minion going to block the zap, but there it is. 100 Thieves next, coming in big.
Using tools in the jungle specifically to pick off Insanity was humongous here for the side of Golden Guardians, but they lost their mid push because of it. And because eventually Stixxay and Chime, they're trying to juggle between pushing out mid wave and getting into the river to be able to actually compete for this dragon. It kind of slowed everything down, and it made it so that a full fight commitment was there from Golden Guardians. They never win that. I feel like they just need to ditch as soon as Chime is there. They had saw Insanity. He was trying to get back to his own jungle, able to pick him off. That's massive. There's a ton of value behind this. Ryoma ends up going back to bottom lane. I thought this was going to be Golden Guardian saying, let's just go to Dragon right now because they can't compete. We've got double teleport. But Tony Top's roam into the mid lane, Chime getting caught right here before the fight even starts. All of a sudden, and then the TP from Sniper kind of changes the entire dynamic of this fight because there's too many members deep into the thing. Array gets to do so much work, goes untouched in this fight, and that means everybody goes down before Stixxay can put out any damage. There also is no Ryoma here for more CC, disengage, AoE, all the stuff that is necessary to compete in the 5-on-5. 100 Thieves gets exactly what they want in this situation because they're the ones that end up forcing that fight in the mid lane, and they snag themselves second dragon. The exchange is like a kill onto the Syndra, bottom lane tower onto the Syndra. They're fine with that. They're completely okay with Array pulling more
condition here. So good start to come out of 100 Thieves next to be able to retaliate like that. Next thing on the map will be Rift Herald. So spawning up to grab that will be Golden Guardians Academy. They've had a lot of priority over towards this top side of the map. They're going to continue pushing that, continue establishing that deep vision that you can see just lighting up the jungle of 100 Thieves next.
Golden Guardians continue to take this topside approach. They continue to grab the gold, just as much gold as they could possibly get, because this is what's going to be necessary for them to turn this game, right? Like, if you don't have gold to be able to fight up against a team that's got the dragon stacking and what should be a superior team fight, it's just, there's nothing for you to accomplish on the map. So that's why they snag up as much as they can. It's necessary. They get it off the back of the bottom side take as well, because they just get to walk the top side, take the Rift Herald immediately. Sniper now with the completed Rift Maker is also pretty terrifying, now also with a bit of armor in the boots. He's got the stopwatch as well. Again, the side lane's still not going super well, or at least Tony Top isn't winning it hard enough to warrant like a pure like one-on-one victory up against the side of the Gwen. You can see a little bit of hovering, but mostly the problem here for Golden Guardians is that Array is on so much gold right now that like they can't ever team fight. They have to find ways to arbitrarily win fights or win skirmishes, find ways to get gold like the Rift Herald or find pick kills without fighting against Array because he will rip through your team, which is really hard to do right now. There isn't really many ways for this team to be able to find picks. They got Ryoma, right? Like they've got Stixay if he's got Gravitum Ultimate. That's a huge way to start off a potential pick or a potential fight or skirmish, something along those lines. But so far, Golden Guardians haven't been able to force their hand like that in any way.
I will say this, though, for their resources that they have to accomplish this picks, it's not really tied to ultimates. They do have ways to just be able to expend this and try again and again and again. You know, we've seen some compositions that are heavily ultimate dependent. Golden Guardian's not really suffering from that. It's just a matter of skirmish. It's just a matter of control.
I'm also, one thing that is also just, it's setting off an alarm in my head is that Ryoma currently is on Sword Shoes, he's got Blighting Gem, and he's got Ludens, which means that the amount of penetration for the magical damage that Ryoma's got right now, he could potentially one-shot a number of different people inside of this composition from 100 Thieves, right? Sniper has that potential if the W is down or if he finds him in a team fight inside the right range, you could potentially just blow up the Gwen. More importantly, if Array gets caught in a stun, that might be a half health or worse onto the Jinx. And the only defense to that is Dawnbray being in the right position inside of a fight. So it's just Dawnbray is pocketed to Array most of the time. So that means that like they don't have a Braum to be roaming, they don't have a Braum inside of a fight to be pushing out the CC at the beginning before the usage of those abilities from Ryoma that could potentially assassinate that champion that is so necessary for their team fight to go effectively. So I feel like we've actually seen more of this where Golden Guardians, they're playing in two side lanes. They shifted right there to make sure that Ryoma pulls more gold. And I think eventually that's going to be better for them ultimately because now Sniper can't really win the one-on-one against Jax in the same way Jax isn't winning the one-on-one against Sniper. So you start putting more resources into making sure your Syndra is going to be an absolute menace, have the penetration and the AP necessary to blow up members in a fight. And that means that like Insanity still has to be careful even though he's got the Merc Treads. You can see they're starting to be magic resist being prioritized by like Fnatic because he's worried he's even going to get blown up by this champion.
So state of the game, 20 minutes into this, a 3K lead for Golden Guardians Academy. Now looking to set up for the next Drake. We have it in 25 seconds. Hunter Thieves are going to be the first ones to get their footing within that Drake pit. We'll be able to get some vision, get some priority. Scuttle already going over to Golden Guardians Academy, so can't deny too much there. Tony Top being a menace towards that bottom lane, trying to keep the side lane control in the hands of Golden Guardians Academy. But 100 Thieves next. They're a little bit feisty right here. It looks like they're trying to fish for something, but you got to be careful. The Scatter of the Week, the Death Sentence, all it takes is one of those to ruin your day. Stixay takes a good chunk of health right there. Loses 2/3 of his health in the process. Now Rift Herald's going to go down. Array gets hit by the Scatter of the Week. A good chunk of damage back to the marksman of 100 Thieves next. Now Shelly on the map. Here comes the engaged Fnatic looking to go in. They're looking for Ryoma. They're looking for Chime. Chime gets low, able to flash away, survives. There comes the Scatter of the Week. Sniper able to back out. The Graviton comes out. A lot of damage coming through onto 100 Thieves next. But the same is repeated onto Golden Guardians Academy. Half health bars all around the map now as another Scatter of the Week comes out. Able to land onto Dawnbray. 100 Thieves next. They're feeling the momentum here as they are the ones who are able to pull the Drake, but the teleports are coming through now. This is going to be Sniper looking to join in from the brush. Sniper over the wall. He's going to buy time for 100 Thieves next to be able to easily grab this Drake and get out.
I'm very comfortable with Golden Guardian's decision here. They put themselves in a rough place now where they're down 3 full Drakes. I don't know that Cloud Drake necessarily breaks this whole game for 100 Thieves to make it so impossible for the side of Golden Guardians necessary to overcome. So I like that they don't flip for this, and they still have the opportunity themselves to potentially go and get the next dragon or fight for the next one. They burnt a lot of ultimates on both sides. My one thing was Syndra's ultimate was still available. More importantly, Viego's ultimate was still available to potentially burst down targets, especially if you're getting chipped down by Syndra a number of different times, but they couldn't find the right engage. I love the TP from Sniper right there, being able to cut off any members that are trying to go in. They have to respect that Gwen very heavily, even though the ult was down because of how powerful the he is, and it prevented them from really putting everybody together in one place where they could be like, all right, let's spike down this one person and take the fight after the dragon to potentially win the game off the back of the winning fight, maybe the Baron afterwards as well. But they have more time for that to actually come to fruition, right, over the course of the game. If they try to take that fight and they lose it right there because of the TP from Sniper, game's over and 100 Thieves absolutely win it. Golden Guardians understand the position they're in, and they're not going to risk it all.
I did feel some worry for Stixay in the last bit of that.
Yes.
Just seeing the damage he took without the fight actually beginning. I believe it was, what, a zap and a super mega death rocket. I think Insanity might have gotten something in there as well. Kind of shows you just how vulnerable these ADCs are if they're able to get locked down onto you. And given how much range these compositions have. Golden Guardians Academy now starting to circle around the Baron pit, trying to get control over there. Donbray just going to run away, seeing Iconic on that inside track in the mid lane. Golden Guardians Academy get the vision, push it forward into the jungle of 100 Thieves next.
Ooh, importantly. Okay, so this 4-on-4 is very interesting, and the side lane is also interesting, because again, Tony Top is now broken into 2 items, as has Sniper. The armor is there to defense against a bit of the damage, but the sustain is also there now that it's Blade of the Rune King in the back pocket of the Jax. So again, the side lane continues to be... it appears as though the Jax just gets a lot more priority here. Sniper is respecting very heavily the pure mechanical ability of Tony Top, combined with where he's at in his itemization. It would be extremely difficult for either one of them to pull a full one-on-one against the other, get a kill, and start pressuring in the side lane. So then you start considering the remainder of the map for both of these two teams. Again, Jinx has to be protected. You don't really have an escape tool like a Thresh Lantern to pull her out of a bad situation, so Ray has to play more defensively, and Donbray has to be in the back pocket most of the time when you're roaming anywhere trying to put waves into your carry on the side of 100 Thieves. And it's opening up opportunities for, I think, Iconic to be a little bit more aggressive and Ryoma to be able to step up a little bit more. And so they're able to set up a line around the kind of just barely the exterior of the Baron pit. You can see they're able to wrestle away a little bit of vision control on the top side of the map to continue pushing waves back and forth. And it sets up for what is a Viego and a Stixxay Baron, which they've started up right now. There's no vision of this. If they want to push in, they have to push into what is a Syndra, which is going to be able to rip them to pieces if they've got the vision. There's one ward, I think, on the other side of the pit to be able to catch them, but nobody's here quite yet. They pull off the Baron. I like that this they're at least testing 100 Thieves a little bit here, trying to poke and prod and see if they're prepared for something like this. Fortunately, 100 Thieves is ready for it.
A little bit tense right here. 100 Thieves next. Going to stand 5 units strong quite soon, as coming into the mid lane is going to be Sniper sieging up the mid lane tower. Stixxay trying to clear away the wave. Sniper clearing away the jungle camps of Iconic. Tower will not go down. 100 Thieves really pressing their advantages. They realize how far ahead Array is. You know, 3-0-1 does have the Kraken Slayer and Runin's Hurricane completed. He can provide a lot of DPS once these team fights start.
Yeah, for team fighting here for Golden Guardians, I feel like it's all about how do they put pressure onto Array. When you've got a back pocket Braum for the shield, the W for some additional resistances, you've got the Locket in the back pocket, you've got the ultimate, you've got the CC that he can provide. There's so much there to help defend the Jinx in a game like this. Array is going to be a fortress that needs to be sieged somehow. Ryoma is a good way to do that. You can see the damage is starting to come through when the Rabadons, or if you're able to get some more stacks for your Magis and the AP starts coming in, really going to start doing a lot of damage to this Jinx. If you get an ultimate off onto that champion, she basically is out of a fight, if not just dead outright over the course of this one. Almost to the point where I feel like Guardian Angel might be in the future here for Array. After the Infinity Edge, it might have to be a Guardian Angel angle just to make sure that Array isn't just completely lost inside of a fight if there happens to be a pick that comes through with it, which does slow down a little bit more.
Dead sentence onto Donbray. Donbray gets chunked.
Donbray!
Gets really chunked. Gets destroyed. Stixxay will take him down, but Stixxay falls in the process. Array able to grab that one. Goes on a rampage, and now Sniper looking to chase down Chime. 3 members now around Chime as he gets caught by the death sentence. Goes Golden, buys time for Fnatic and Array to join the fight. Sniper will get out as Tony Top looks to back off Array. Barely able to get out from the scatter of the week, but 100 Thieves next. They're able to grab Stixxay. They trade it for Donbray, but this was the objective right here, Dean. They want the Drake.
Great force right there from the side of 100 Thieves. After their support gets picked, there is some real fear that Array can just get assassinated, but because a lot of the cooldowns were ripped by Ryoma, off the back of that just going down, they're able to full infringe into the jungle of Golden Guardians and bring down multiple members, or at least take down one of the more important members. Stixxay going down is damage from range. Combine that with Chime getting pushed out of the pit and everybody else getting low during the course of that process, it just means that there's nothing there for Golden Guardians to stand at. I don't think they lose all that much. Cloud Soul is incredibly powerful in its own right, but it's not a game decider here. And I gotta see what happened, because what it looked like, Stixxay got really aggressive for the positioning onto Donbray. It was the trap line! Array! You little sneak! I was trying to figure out how they got him stuck in place like that, and Array sneaks down a trap line, able to put him in place for just a little too long. Sniper also buying absurd amount of time for the rest of his team, be able to drive back everybody. Loved the ability to throw the rockets in from Array at the last second to drop Iconic's health, because if they get a kill onto the Gwen, all of a sudden things get a little bit crazier. One good stun from somebody, one good play from Tony Top ends up getting them into that pit and winning that dragon and the potential team fight. So 100 Thieves instead just securing that one off the back of some really good individual play there. Props to Array, because again, that trap completely eluded me on the first one. I couldn't figure out what in the world hit Stixay, and there it is, the trap line perfectly placed.
This is a disgusting point for Array as well, because he's now completed his Infinity Edge. He has a stopwatch on top of that, so another layer of protection. It's going to be hard to take him down, and if he's unchecked, the damage is going to be huge. But here comes the pain. Super Mega Death Rocket comes out. It's not going to land. Glacial Fissure over the wall, knocks up Chime in the process. As teleport comes in from Tony Top. Sniper going to join the fight, goes after Iconic. Iconic will hop over the wall and leave Tony Top to be destroyed. Stixay falls to the process. Ryoma try to get away, but you can't run from Array. He goes golden. The trap line is set. A double kill for Insanity. And 100 Thieves next. They destroy 4 members of Golden Guardians Academy and start just walking right into the base like they own the place.
Almost certainly going to be the game right here as well. 100 Thieves understand now. They've got their Cloud Souls. They've got the movement speed. In the right ultimate situation, you can pick so many members of this team. And right there, Ryoma stepped up to try to find a stun. I think it might have been his undoing, because that cost him to be too far up. The follow-up was there from 100 Thieves off the back of a nice sniper flank, and they're going to take game number 1. Golden Guardians had a gold lead for probably 25 minutes of this game. And it's not until the last possible second that 100 Thieves able to flip it into their favor. But I don't think we had a question. That team fight was always going to be in favor of them. They're able to finally find one that actually fits the gold. And that means that Golden Guardians, they just have no legs to stand.
Yeah, that was a strong start coming out from 100 Thieves next, but it was definitely a competitive matchup. On the top side, Golden Guardians Academy had control. Over in the bottom side, though, it was a completely different picture. Just overall, Array, especially becoming unchecked as we got into the later stages of that, it was hard to stop them. It was hard to get onto the Jinx. They had good layers of protection, and Array was just a stud. Those sneaky traps onto Stixay, that was some beautiful stuff.
Yeah, I could give a ton of props to the way this composition was constructed. The fact that they did something a little out of the ordinary in playing into Array rather than having him on something a little bit more quiet or like kind of self-sustaining in the early game, the way like the Ezreal has been most of the tournament. So that was really cool. And also, I want to give props to Sniper. The number of times he had massive impacts in a team fight through a teleport, a flank, something like that. While a lot of the damage probably in this game was done by Array, Insanity in the team fights, his positioning really did make a massive difference. So props to them for game number 1. Golden Guardians, you got to figure things out, because game number 2, it throws up some question marks for sure.
All right, best of 5 series. Good start coming out from 100 Thieves next, but we're going to throw out of a short break. When we return, the analyst desk will catch you up and break down that game we just witnessed. Stay tuned.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Unified Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier. We're in the finals, and 100 Thieves next, already taking themselves a lead off inside this series. Gentlemen, we got to see some interesting stuff throughout that, especially from the draft all the way to the end of the game.
Very fun times. So already here for 100 Thieves Next, it was a really close one all throughout, I feel. And even for Golden Guardians, they had that early lead on Tony Top's Jax. So 100 Thieves sort of had a comeback victory. I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but if you look at the gold, it was technically a comeback, so big on them.
I think what's really important to highlight is that 100 Thieves always had the better 5v5 team comp, and it was more up to GGA to get the snowball, to have the agency with the Syndra roams, the Thresh roams, in order to make things happen. Whereas like you have a hyper carry Victor, and then you have a Jinx Braum that's able to protect everybody through the extended range and the shields. It's obvious that 100 Thieves will win if it ever gets to late game, but I did not expect GGA to let them get so easily to the late game phase.
That was very exciting. Me personally, I was very excited just to see Sniper not taking the last pick. I was like, wait a second, hold on. And then we got Tony Top that counterpicked with the Jats. That was, I think all of us were kind of just like, wait a second, hold on. This is pretty cool what we're seeing unfold in front of our very eyes here.
I think it shows the value of Tony Top's Gwen and how much priority that 100 Thieves Next has on taking that away, that they would roll the dice and also go up against Tony Top's Jax, as this is a good counter pick and something that Tony Top has been known for throughout his career. Over a 70% win rate. But I know that between the replays that we have, we're kind of going to dive into that top lane matchup especially and paint how GGA, by taking things too quickly, actually really hurt themselves in the long run.
And we have a great example of that. Our first replay here, actually, that comes up, gives a very interesting part to see how everything goes. And you see the game plan coming out, the wheels are turning. And Mike Young, you were looking at this. You were hyping up the Jats coming in from Tony Top.
Yeah, so I was hyping up the Jax, but then I just remembered that surprisingly, Jax cannot solo carry a game in tournament play. Most of the time in tournament play, one person can't really do a lot. It's a combination of everybody's efforts, and basically 100 Thieves just played better in team fights in stopping the snowball from GG Academy, and that they just played to their win condition, which is correct.
Now, I do want to prod you on that replay that we just showed, Mike Young, because you brought up a really good point when we were talking about the game on the desk. Fnatic going for that bot crab opened up that gank to be available for GGA, and they ended up cashing in.
Yeah, so specifically in that case there, just an interesting jungle back and forth where Fnatic went for both top and bot crab, but that leaves a window for GG to head up into the top side while Fnatic is securing bot crab and to punish the Gwen. So I was a little bit surprised to see maybe a little bit of inexperience come from Fnatic to allow his top laner to get ganked there at the level 4 such an early window. So maybe we won't see that again in the next game, but one thing I do want to commend is that Fnatic, even after that, he made some really good ganks too, especially in the bot lane.
I want to bring this up too, Cubby. You just brought it up. The Herald that came in here was a very interesting moment that we were all kind of talking about off on the desk here.
Yeah, so when it comes to Rift Herald plays, throughout this tournament, I've seen a lot of amateur teams really botch Heralds. And surprisingly for this one, I think Golden Guardians somewhat botched this as well, because where we're at in the current game state, Tony Top is still murdering this matchup in the top lane. And when they take the Herald and they go back top to force Sniper off these waves and break the turret, this ends the laning phase. Golden Guardians could have kept this lane active, could have dropped this Herald mid and tried to take plates away from a Victor, which is an extremely difficult lane to break. Taking away that mid outer would give them a lot more space to roam with the Syndra Thresh Viego combo to try and find picks and try and accelerate the game, as Mike was pointing out beforehand. When they break this tower, they just leave the Jax up here, and they also give Array 2 plates for free on the bot side, and they even force Stixxay off and lose the Dragon. So I thought this trade from Golden Guardians was really kind of shot themselves in their own foot as they tried to snowball this game forward. They didn't swap the lane states after that either to try and take more plates or anything like that. And that's what ended up leading to Tony Top getting shut down to the top lane, which Gwen bounced back, and then things got really ugly for the side of GGA afterwards.
It's always a tough call to go for the immediate burst of income onto a champion that's really fed in the moment, and saving that for later so you can potentially go for a little bit more, because it definitely does give a lot of money into Tony Top's pockets. But if you think about the scope of what this composition does,
10 minutes in.
Yeah, you do still have a lot of time left to just play out the regular state of the game, and Tony Top is going to still scale up into that matchup. It's not going to get any harder for him in the 1v1 in that lane throughout the rest of the 20, 30, maybe even longer game state if you don't speed up the pace. And to your point there, Cubby, there's faster ways and more efficient ways to speed up the pace because you have a Syndra in mid lane. That champion's definitely going to get outscaled. Why not get that one ahead a little bit further so you actually can use that priority that Mike Young brought up that comes from a draft like this?
Yeah, I definitely was looking forward to seeing more aggression with the Syndra pick. So specifically, they had options to dive the Victor. They had a Thresh that can roam mid. They had a jungler that can very easily follow up to Syndra's stuns. They could have easily dove this Victor or pushed him off and then taken mid tower, which accelerates the Syndra into roaming, which eventually those roams would have gotten other side towers. So that's definitely the greedier play where you get more gold and you get someone even more valuable ahead. I see this a lot actually where amateur or academy junglers or junglers that just like to use Herald top just because it's the closest lane. It's not always the correct play.
The dopamine rush. Yes. Send it right away.
Gotta get that gold coming up, you know. But there was a dopamine rush over for the side of 100 Thieves Nets. And Smats, I think you know exactly the moment I'm talking about here in that mid lane fight.
Yeah, we heard on the cast as well, Rebel Fox point out a really cool play in the middle of one of these team fights for Array, and I want to point it out again just because it was so cool. So Trime starts off this play by getting a really solid hook off onto Dombre. Thanks to some lucky crits and some well-timed skill shots, Styx is able to place those the damage into back of the enemy support. But you saw right there those traps that Array placed to cut off the escape path of Stixxay were really, really solid, and it completely breaks apart this entire team fight from here, because we mentioned how important the scaling aspects of Golden Guardians are. They just lost their biggest one in this Aphelios. The only one left is this Jax, and they're already on the side of 100 Thieves moving over to take Drake 4, which, while we were watching this game, we had a little bit of a discussion on whether or not Cloud Drake was important. I feel like it's actually a really good game for it, because two things. One, they increased the movement speed that you get when you cast Ultimate now. And two, you're against a lot of melee champions and even some short range ones in the Syndra and Aphelios 4/5 of the time. So you actually do benefit quite heavily from the movement speed bonus that you get. And we actually saw that in the last team fight of the game as well, where they were just able to extend their reach well beyond many structures in that game and completely break apart from just one team fight.
Riot should have removed Claude Soul, not Chemsec. Who said that?
What? Who was that?
Who was it? That was a voice inside of the skies, but the voice inside of the skies is telling me we also have a post-game screen to actually look at the gold lead. As you guys were talking about at the very beginning, you can see the damage that was done inside of this game, and oh man, it's hot.
Like I said, it was, by all accounts, a comeback victory when looking at the gold. Even though it did not really feel like it the entire time. It just goes to show just how much priority you can get off of this Syndra pick and just how well Ryoma is laning in these games. I think Golden Guardians is going to acknowledge that he is definitely on a roll in past games and also today, and probably incorporate him more heavily into the way that they are playing throughout this series, because Ryoma definitely did carry his weight all throughout this game. It was just a tough game for Syndra, considering they didn't really play to it, and there's a Braum on the other team.
One thing that I want to highlight here actually is that The damage graphs don't actually show the story behind how far ahead Jinx and Braum were in laning phase, because they were able to get multiple plates as well as control the bot side in more of a scaling 2v2 matchup. Because Jinx Braum is going to have a much easier time into the entire enemy team rather than an Aphelios Thresh that might have a hard time just walking past Braum, or the Xin Zhao that might have like the invulnerability auto attack field against like such a short range champion like Aphelios.
I think a lot of that was from the Rift Herald play, because that also made sure that Array got ahead. And I do want to credit Sniper a lot in this game. I think that we have such high expectations for this player. This guy's 15. He is that good, and he does warrant that. And his ability to team fight on the Gwen as things went on. He was set pretty far behind by the fact that Jax got first brick, didn't have a lot of real estate to work with in the top lane. He got one kill, got the shutdown, ran with that throughout. His ability to team fight, that TP to secure the Cloud Soul where he went golden to eat the Syndra ult, just bought all the space for them to take that objective for free. That's really high level stuff that this 15-year-old is doing. So I know we expect this guy to be really good. He is really good, but seeing him meet that expectation and even exceed it at times is really fun to watch in his first tournament in a Riot circuit.
He's so crazy aggressive, right? Like, this player so young is not hesitant to pull the
calculated
trigger
though
on anything.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's so good. And look, we're going to have to see more of that. This is a best of 5 here. If you guys are Golden Guardians here, I'm going to start off with Mike Young. Mike Young, if you're Golden Guardians, what are you thinking going into this game here after having that lead that we did see kind of turn itself on its head that swiftly?
I think they need more of a team comp that just goes more focused in the team fighting range, because what I noticed is that even though they had so many agency champions where you can get huge advantages by making dives, like for example, Syndra Viego can just dive a side lane because they have perma mid prio. They never did that specifically. They never went bottom. They didn't even kill the Victor. So I definitely would want to see maybe more team fight style, since the diving style isn't necessarily working out this game.
Cubby, how are you feeling going into this as somebody looking at this Golden Guardians into this matchup?
Let me check what side we've got these teams on.
Blue side, Golden Guardians.
Impact things. Okay, I'm not surprised that it's the same. I thought it'd be the same throughout this best of 5. I would rather see GGA take, if they rinse and repeat the same draft and take Jarvan on 3 instead of taking the Jax for Tony Top to counter the Gwen. I think that's a really good setup for the Aphelios. I think Iconics played that really well. Jarvan's really easy to get out on the map and be active with early. And Tony can eat a few bans. It'll probably give him like a Renekton or Jace or Renekton or Jace in the Gwen, which isn't the greatest matchup in the world. But it does open up that ability to play through bot, makes it a lot easier, which I think is what Golden Guardians want to do in this best of 5.
Spence, I'm going to have you go over to the other side. What does 100 Thieves do to keep the momentum to their side?
Same thing. They just won. That's the easiest question alive. Come on.
I gave you the easy one. Just win again. Easy. That's all it takes. But I have to see if they follow that advice and see if they'll be able to keep their momentum up and find themselves in a Game 2 victory, or if it's going to be Golden Guardians turning things in their favor. With that being said, we got our boys ready to bring us into game number 2. So Desert, Rebel Fox, take it on away.
Yeah, the boys are back and ready to cast the full nonsense Rebel Fox here, ready for this matchup of Golden Guardians Academy versus 100 Thieves Next. And a great start coming out from 100 Thieves Next. You know, we had a great breakdown coming from our analyst desk, and some changes coming up. We were talking about it a little bit during our break, that one of the things you want to see swap is the priority towards that Gwen pick.
Yeah, it's a possibility whether or not that actually gets first picked. In the previous game, I think they went to Thresh first, which is fair because Chime in previous iterations, when he's on Thresh, he kind of just commands everything. And I don't even think it was necessarily a bad Thresh performance from him specifically that caused any problems inside of this game. But I think now you have to consider that. You have to consider, potentially even a jungle matchup in your first rotation, whether you want to take away the Xin Zhao from Fnatic or something else in those lines. There's more priority than I think you need from that position. And I think you can be more creative with your support role, right? We've seen Karma a lot from Chime in the bottom side. We've seen Lux down there a lot, and the ability to carry with that champion in the bottom side. And you're playing into Dawnbray, who has not been playing Enchanters at all. He's playing melee champion. He picked Braum in the last game, for goodness sake. to me, they need to punish the bottom lane a lot harder. And the way to do that is with Shine. So don't first pick Thresh. Don't show me that. Show me something more priority on the top side. Show me a top laner that's going to first pick with the Gwen if you're really comfortable in any matchup. Or more specifically, go to Xin Zhao, take that away from Fnatic. You're not going to pick.
Yeah, I would like to personally see a little bit more pressure onto Fnatic as we head into this draft. I kind of remember MU Iconic, the Iconic of old, when he would play more of those carry-oriented champions like the Graves. I think Nidalee and Kindred were in meta there. And he did do a lot of counterplay. He did do a lot of counter jungling. He was a very aggressive jungler there. Now has kind of fallen into that early map pressure type jungling. I feel like it's something that could be successful against Fnatic because we saw that when you apply that early pressure onto Fnatic, just as Mordio did, I see your glimpse, and we are broken. Nah, not having the Riven.
Not this time. Not in this particular matchup. But apparently Sniper doesn't want it. At least he doesn't want to show it this early, potentially, to ruin that one for himself. Instead, they go right back to Xin Zhao, which I think this is more comfortable for GGA. Now they've got the Gwen. That's the blind pick top laner. 100 Thieves is going to have to come up with a solution for it. And then they go into the Xin Zhao. And then it also forces them into a position where it's like, okay, we either take our counter pick top laner now before they've showed their jungler, or we take something a little bit more blanket. And here it's the Jhin for Array, which is of interest to me because this goes against what they did in the previous game, what they've done in a lot of their games, which is Array on super safe kind of laning champions that scale really well for team fighting. Not to say Jhin can't do that, but that to me indicates that Sniper or Insanity will be picking up the mantle of that primary damage dealer that Jhin doesn't quite fill as well as those other champions might, things like the Aphelios and the Jinx.
I do remember him playing it quite recently. Oh yeah, it was into Evil Genius's Prodigies, where he just double picked the Jhin and was able to find a good, pretty good steamroll with it. Golden Guardians Academy, their response is going to get Stixxay on to the Aphelios as well as grabbing Iconic the J4. And I very much like the J4 pick. I'm more of a fan of when it comes to Jarvan and what he can do at all stages of the map. But it is a draft coming in for Golden Guardians.
This is of very high interest to me just because I think, if I'm right, this is the first time in the tournament that Iconic has taken this. He's had a bunch of Xin Zhao, he had a ton of Viego, Diana and Poppy were in there as well. He hadn't played Lee Sin, and if he has a Jarvan game, I think he only has one Jarvan game over the course of the entire tournament. This is the first time we're seeing him on something that is supposed to be played this aggressively. And as we lock it in, and as your eyes are now off the screen, we actually get a Riven lock in as well for some more excitement into the top lane, where Sniper snags that one up for himself, comfortable with the matchup now that he's seen everything else come about. That's some spice for game number 2, Mr. Eric.
I'm excited for this one. Viper gets brought up a lot when we talk about Sniper, being the younger brother of Viper. But this is the thing. Sniper is not someone who's in his brother's shadow. He's casting a shadow on North American Amateur right now, especially when he's pulling out spicy picks like this and throwing down the gauntlet with Tony Top.
He's throwing down the gauntlet, but also, I mean, you say casting a shadow on North American Amateur. He cast a shadow over the entirety of the solo queue ladder last season, being number 1 with this champion as one of his most played. He's very comfortable with this. We don't get to see this very often. Viper was pretty much the only one playing this anywhere in Amateur, and we always were excited when he started bringing Nat and Vayne out. And here, his brother gets a chance to actually test his mettle on something like this, which is of interest to me because, again, you see the Jarvan pick. He must feel comfortable into the Gwen Jarvan as a combination of champions. Otherwise, you wouldn't dare maybe take the Riven pick into this type of thing because early aggression from Jarvan can put that behind, and you might be in a bit more miserable of a state than you would normally want it to. But obviously, feeling confident enough to say I'm willing to take the Gwen matchup, but more importantly, I'm willing to take the Gwen Jarvan matchup with this Riven.
So looking back into the match history of Iconic, he has played the J4 semi-recently. It was in Academy, but definitely has not played at this tournament so far. So next lock-in coming out from Golden Guards Academy, they're going to swiftly go after the Corki and the Set.
All right, this is Chime. I was like, okay, it's got to be Karma, it's got to be Lux, it's got to be something like that, because you can get some real carry pressure out of some of these enchanters. But the Set support as the just kind of the attacking bot lane in melee range up against the Nautilus means that he's just going to try to smack in the bottom side. And this is Insanity's pick. This is what he was busting out just the other day. The Veigar in the mid lane. For any amount of hype you could have possibly had for the Set pick having any kind of impact on this game outside of the laning phase, now gone. The Veigar just ruins his day with this pick unless his flash is up. But even that's just not going to make it super easy.
And this is such a comfort pick for Insanity. I'm pretty sure he's pulled it out almost every bracket game so far. I even remember the old days, Team Liquid Academy 2019, casting them, being with their group. He played Vigar, got a pentakill in that same season with the Vigar. It is a champion he's comfortable with. It's a champion he's deadly with. And we already talked about this. He's a very comfortable farmer. He's a very strong laner. Vigar complements that so well as you're able to get those stacks with the Q.
This feels, it's a champion that I think the range might be of a little suffering, just because it feels like Corki is something that it will need to be infringed upon by the Riven, the Zinzao, the Nautilus, in order to really have a massive kind of a counterplay to what the Corki is eventually going to bring to a game like this, just because the range of the Vigar isn't quite sufficient to be able to knock away, when he's doing his rocket thing, or Aphelios when he's got the right gun setup. But outside of that, I mean, if you're looking at GGA's fight setup, it's all Jarvan, it's all Set, it's all those things, and the Cage is just going to ruin that pretty much immediately. Either by throwing it down in front of those champions to prevent them from coming in, or to throw it into Aphelios in the face of the Corki. So it's like, okay, if you step up, you get stunned, and then you get killed by our insane top laner who's playing one of his most comfortable champions. There's so many options here that Insanity has to just try to control how fights are going to play out. That combined with Donbray's Nautilus, his most played champion across the entire tournament, one that he's found great success on, feels like they have a lot of control over the way that fights are going to actually play out, which again, it bodes very well for 100 Thieves, who have shown a very high propensity for these 5-on-5s.
All right, exciting matchup here for North American Amateur, but do you want to get involved in North American Amateur? Do you think you have what it takes? Well, Unified Premier is the place to be this spring. With 3 seasons annually and over $27,000 in prizing this spring, amateur and collegiate League of Legends and Valorant teams are invited to play and apply now through February 2nd at midnight. Start or continue your esports path to pro by heading over to unified.gg/organization/application and have a chance to compete in Unified Premier's biggest season yet. And for those of you just diving into the esports world, Unified Community is a great place for you to jump in and compete. With $4,000 in prizing each month, our Platinum, our Gold, our ARAM leagues are all available for you to sign up monthly at unified.gg/c. Filter it off by community games. And Dean, when we talk about Unified and all that in the UPL, like a lot of these names that we're seeing here today start off of grassroots organizations such as grassroots tournaments such as the UPL.
Yeah, I remember just a couple seasons ago on Supernova, Chime was actually in UPL, which is kind of insane to think, what the talent pipeline has been like for being able to ship players like Chime, Ray, through these kinds of lower leagues, and seeing players advance not only just from the high level UPL into this area, but also even from lower levels. You consider players like Rakeen. I was covering him in UCL, which is the Diamond League from back in the day when he made his step up into Proving Grounds and onto the roster that he's on now. Players like that and players kind of development, you get to see them much earlier on in the process. Pretty much the entirety of Dare, when they were around and they were having competition here inside of this league, they also had all come from UPL, from those kinds of backgrounds as well. So it's a great place to be able to develop. NA's pipeline isn't just completely destroyed. It's a great place to be able to actually hone your talents for some of the first time for these players.
It's always fun seeing some of what North American Amateur has. I remember one of my personal favorite rosters was 2019 Supernova, Fnatic being on that one. So it's definitely nice and somewhat almost summer nostalgic seeing Fnatic and going from the UPL to these tournaments, trying to make their way to pro. It's always fun seeing these journeys, Dean.
It is. And then you get to see the culmination of these journeys where players like that get to land in a position like this where you're trying to qualify for Proving Grounds. You're trying to qualify at the number 1 position here in the first open qualifier, competing against academy teams. In some cases, players that have been playing in the LCS before. Some of the best competition that you will ever find, all stemming from just tournaments like this, which is it's really incredible the way that this has developed over the last couple of years.
30 seconds until minions.
So now these players looking to try and develop further. Round finals here at the LCS Proving Ground Circuit Qualifiers. 100 points going out to the winners. 100 Thieves next. Already in a pretty good spot considering Golden Guardians Academy are an academy squad, as mentioned earlier by the analyst desk.
Oh, look at Sniper in the top lane, man. He's out here with the Flash Ignite top lane up against Tony Top. I know the Ignite teleport was expected from the Gwen, but to have that aggressive type of summoner setup against a laner that a lot of people have seen and is actually, I think, at least in my opinion, been able to claim a really solidified spot inside of Academy as a great top laner, especially when referencing his lane, his ability to side lane, things like that. Tony Top's one of the better. So Sniper having a performance league in game 1, and if he's able to flex the way way he does in game number 2 here, especially on his trademark pick, it speaks a lot to the volumes of Sniper more than it feels like to the deficiencies of what Tony Top has to bring to the table, which I think is humongous when you're comparing newer players, younger players like Sniper to some of these. I'm not even going to call him. I should call him a veteran because he's been around longer, but honestly, he only stepped in like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago as it is.
I mean, Sniper, seeing some of the interviews that this kid has put out, he is confident, saying straight up that he never gets nervous for a lot of these matchups, that he's just ready to play and he's ready to carry. We've seen his diverse champion pool. He's put on some noticeable stats, some highlight performances. It is a challenge for Tony Top, who is more established within the scene, who has been definitely grinding the scene for a long time. A lot of exchanges going off in the mid lane here between Ryoma and Insanity getting the better of that.
To me, this game for Golden Guardians is all about Ryoma. There is not another game plan here. Stixxay is good. He's great at the Aphelios. It's going to be something that can scale into team fighting. The best way that they can win a game like this on the side of Golden Guardians is to get that Corki going as fast as possible. The wave clear, the poke is going to be there, and it's going to be necessary for them to be able to land some of that before fights kick off. Because of how difficult Insanity, Dawnbray, even Fnatic make it, and the kinds of follow-up that you can have if you land some of this CC with Sniper and with Array being able to do quite a bit of that, I feel like it's difficult to take the pure 5-on-5, and 100 Thieves have already proved that they might just be better at it than you. So don't play that game. Play for Ryoma. Play for some of the poke damage. Make them uncomfortable to take full 5-on-5s. Push them out of positions that they normally have very cemented inside of the river or around neutral objectives. And that might be how you dislodge this team. That's how Golden Guardians can compete if they're not going to play purely towards this bottom lane and shut down Array, or they're not going to play definitely towards Stixxay scaling into the late game per the 5-on-5.
Ryoma going to take that early recalls. Insanity pushes him out of lane. Focus of Iconic is going to be towards the bot side. Scuttle taken, mirrored map over for Fnatic over on the top side. Lane pushed in heavily as Sniper keeps Tony Top over pushed towards that tower. And again, you have to keep a close eye on the fact that the summoner spells of Sniper are Flash and Ignite. He's going for something deadly.
This is a game also that feels a lot more like what we would have expected in game number 1, right? 100 Thieves is coming out with a very aggressive top side. They're showing some immediate play towards the mid lane. Ryoma just
flash.
able to sneak out. Yeah, great flash from Ryoma after the W, being very patient with that cage, not taking the risk of potentially getting stunned up or anything like that. Instead, just getting out when he absolutely needs to. But this is what we thought from 100 Thieves was going to come about, right? Strong top side of the map, bottom side that's okay, just kind of sitting around, waiting, scaling, taking their farm the way that Array had in some of their other games, and just being aggressive, getting Sniper and Insanity going inside of a game like this.
So recalls coming in, still pushing in the lane over on the bottom side is going to be GGA. And seeing where they're planning to apply their pressure, you're already seeing some movements coming out of Iconic. Big thing here is there are a lot of wards over on that top side as the fight breaks out. The bottom laner is able to get that Haymaker. Dawnbray takes a good chunk of damage. Array mostly unchecked, Stixxay being the recipient of the damage returning from 100 Thieves next. Overall goes neutral.
You have to be very careful in this lane if you are Dawnbray, especially with no with no keystone that's available for you. If the Aftershock is down, and especially if your W and Aftershock are down, Chime at level 3 is willing to just flash. That's just what the set can do. The set at level 3 will flash on any character in this entire game because he's got the ability to...
Oh!
No! See, there's why. Look at the damage, man. Like, how do you deal with that? It's a fully stacked Haymaker, and he just brought him down from like a quarter of his health bar.
Overhand right, straight on the jaw, knocks Dawnbray right out. Ray being alone in that lane, now having to back off, seeing the power that Chime can really bring on this set.
It's the intention, right? We've seen this in other places. It's not super common. It's not like super meta to see this, but when somebody has the audacity to pick Nautilus as a support in the modern era, if you want to be aggressive, you want to put your foot down and say, you're not doing that ever again. Please don't have the audacity to do this. You pick Set, because Set can stand in his face and say, what are you going to do? Proc your W, proc your Aftershock? I'll just kill you through it. It doesn't matter to me. I'll do whatever I want. It's less roaming, I think, from Chime, unless he really tries to force that style of gameplay with like roaming type items. But here it feels like that's not going to be the case. Instead, it's Ryoma taking some more ganks.
Oh, flash forward, able to get all the damage. The chain of CC, pristine right there. That's going to be kill going over to Insanity.
Yeah, the coverage is here. Chime is now going to try to get on top of these members.
Flag and Drake comes in, misses. Chime forced to back off as Stixxay flashes forward, but the baby cage comes out, stopping Golden Guardians Academy from doing anything, flashing for nothing from Stixxay.
3 flashes burnt there from the side of 100 Thieves and 3 flashes burnt here from the side of Golden Guardians, all in the exchange of just Ryoma's life in the end goal, right? And this, it absolutely favors 100 Thieves, not only because of the kill, but they're shutting down the Corki win condition for Golden Guardians. If they're able to shut him out, prevent him from getting gold into the later stages of the game, it's so much harder to play out this team fight. Again, Set looks menacing right now, but when the time comes for him to interact with Insanity, you saw him. He got caged in. He couldn't do anything. He had no flash. He had no ability to get in and actually accomplish anything that he wants to in a fight like that. Even if he has level 6, it's just not going to happen in that situation. So 100 Thieves, full on the disengage. This is what had happened. Dawnbrave had just been killed and was coming back out on a redeploy, and there wasn't a shove in the bottom side quite yet. They'd only just now started backing. The coverage was going to come in from Chime. He was going to run up mid lane one way or another. They see Fnatic below, which is why Iconic, I don't think, responds to this immediately. Instead, he wraps around to the top side of this. But the problem is, once the word's gone, Dawnbrave, Fnatic, they get this lapse of vision that they're able to exploit. And Ryoma still has no flash from the earlier stages. He hovers the correct direction, but the problem is Insanity's in your face. He throws up the BD cage. There's nowhere for you to run. You just get CC'd, and there's nothing for you to accomplish. And the bottom lane is coming up mid lane, so they actually get this redeploy. But again, look how many flashes. Flash. Fnatic is going to be in the face of everybody. As soon as the Gravitum comes out, there's the flash, and they're just out. There's nothing for you to do. The engage is not there to be able to actually set up a play that you would want for the side of Golden Guardians in response to that play.
It's going to be so tough to get past Insanity now. You're trying to get all your mobility tools online. You're trying to get your champions online, but that baby cage, that is the timeout corner if you've ever seen one. Insanity really laying it down so far, has 1 kill, building up that tier 87 stack so far, and getting a lot of vision. This is what we talked about. Insanity plays rather safe. A control ward over in his river bush, over in the enemy jungle. Insanity will have a safe lane here.
So much control here. And once again, it's not been the most loud of early we're here for Iconic. We're only about 10 minutes in, so I'm going to give it more opportunity. But again, Iconic has not been known for these ganking champions over the course of this tournament. He might have played in an academy, but that's really not his forte, or at least not what he's shown for the majority of this time. Thank you for the nice stab there, Sniper. He's able to catch this wave, and nobody's here to pressure him off it, so instead just gets a nice delivery of that to him underneath of his tower. Goodness gracious. Bottom side is being controlled decently well from 100 Thieves, and the top lane has been on an island, and it's led to a 23 CS deficit. They also get Dragon on the bottom side. Rift Herald is not being contested right now from Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians feel like they're bleeding out very slowly here against 100 Thieves, and their composition really doesn't bode well if that's the case, and I don't like that. I feel like Golden Guardians need to accomplish something in the early game to begin building on very quickly.
Oh yeah, I was getting quite excited for the fact that going for the J4 actually got a hold of that thought, because a fight breaking out in the top side using the ultimate is going to be Tony Top. Tries to take down Sniper. Sniper able to dash away. There's no backup in the area to set up a tower dive. Sniper will be able to get out.
Yeah, respect needs to be given over to the side of Tony Top's Gwen. I think it was our desk that had mentioned it in the first segment of the day. He's 9-1 on the champion. It appears to be the new hotness that he's got in his back pocket. Previously, it was like Jax, because that's pretty much all he played. But the Gwen appears to be something he picked up very quickly, because it's been incredible for him, not only through these games, but through a lot of the Academy games as well, which is very exciting for Tony Top. And you can see, despite the 20 CS lead, 25 CS lead, which Sniper's still going to be able to exploit, he, thinking that he can take that one-on-one, ends up having to burn the flash to get out, because there was no way he was beating Tony Top in that situation. So it's still a brick wall. It's a bit of a brick wall that Sniper's going to have to get through. I feel like the true impact of this champion, if no pressure is going to top side, is going to be in following up on a dive that Fnatic's able to have, or CC that Insanity or Dawnbrave is going to be able to put into the backline of Golden Guardians.
Well, Guardians Academy now going to take advantage of the situation, having all this control towards the top side. You were talking about it with Tony Top. They're going to be able to grab the Rift Herald. Chime now rotating out over for this Rift Herald to make sure it's going to be secure. Fnatic doing his golems, not going to be the wiser to this one. Should be able to get the notification now, realizing that's taken away. Chime just going to roam back bottom. Insanity plays back right here. He does play it safe. He's not going to risk anything, realizing that Rift Herald was taken.
It's such an interesting way of playing, because 100 Thieves, they're actually just like, here's the gold lead, here's the Rift Heralds of this game. They're forcing Golden Guardians to come up with a way to beat them, right? Golden Guardians, if they've got the ability to get gold like they did in the previous game, or they have a 4,000 gold advantage, early Rift Herald, things like that, they have the ability to express that in some way, or use their champions, use their items in some way to win the game, and yet they couldn't find it out how to do it actually very easily in the previous game. And this game feels like it's the same way, where 100 Thieves, they're comfortable, they say, okay, we'll take Dragon, we'll take like the scaling composition, we'll take a 5-on-5 type situation, because we love playing that type of composition here. what is your response? What are you going to do to actually thwart this? And so far, Golden Guardians haven't been able to come up with an answer. And I'm still waiting. Chime has had incredible roam pressure, hasn't quite had that in this series up against Donbray, or up against pretty much any lane. And again, Iconic is once again, we're 12 or 11 and a half minutes into this one, still no interaction between him and anyone on the map, except for that one mid cover that ended up, in Ryoma dying and nothing happening, but 3 flashes burnt on both teams.
Taking a look at the count of stacks that Insanity is getting, is at 102 so far. Has a lot of farm and has a lot of damage. That damage is adding up. Ryoma, there wasn't a chance for him. In the blink of an eye, his health bar is gone.
Yeah, I feel like I rubbed my eyes there for a second, and I was like, oh, Insanity's getting dove, and then he was gone. There was nothing to be done about that. This is the play for Golden Guardians in response, which is the bottom lane tower. Can they actually get the full tower is the question, because right now they're going to have half a plate. That armor is just too high, though, so they can't wrap it up. Tragic. This is what we wanted. We wanted them to play towards bottom side before the series had started, because it's what they've been doing and been best at for the course of the tournament, but it feels a little late right now. They're 12 minutes in. Yes, they get a couple of turret plates into the Aphelios, but already Corki's been put behind. Top lane matchup isn't going perfectly for yourselves because 100 Thieves have like this incredible Riven that's already up in a massive amount of gold. It's not a good look right now. Golden Guardians are able to, they're going to have to dig a lot harder to get Stixxay in a position where he can solo this game.
Coming back off the recall, I do want to take a look at the stacks here. Again, Insanity has been really farming well, and of course getting stacks off the kills onto Ryoma. It adds up pretty quickly. Actually, taking a look at the total gold, Insanity has been cashing in thus far in this game.
Yeah, really close between a lot of the middle members, but Insanity, like you said, cashing in the most of any single champion, just because he's been able to pick up both of the 2 kills to begin with. And this isn't a place you want to be against a Vigar that's getting gold in the early game, as well as getting stacks very freely in the early game, right? Like, Corki's something that's supposed to be able to scale and do incredibly well, but if you're just giving the free scaling over to the side of the Vigar, that's going to feel just as bad.
130 stacks so far on this Vigar. Insanity at 140 CS. Really keeping it up quite well. We're only 13 minutes into this game. Tower going to fall in the bottom lane. No one really there to acquire the gold for it, but another blue buff going over towards Insanity as 100 Thieves next start stacking up towards this Dragon side.
Yeah, both teams. This feels like we're Golden Guardians. They're like, okay, we've got a set, we've got a Jarvan, we have to do something with this.
That hurts to see. The Haymaker used defensively, and Iconic destroyed by the ultimate of Insanity.
I really am trying not to be super negative about this, but Golden Guardians, I get what you're going for there, but like, you get caught out in the river. Look at the amount of control that 100 Thieves have. Their bottom lane was already pushed out. Their mid wave was getting pushed out. The Corki doesn't have the damage or the wave clear yet to really keep mid lane pushed in the way you would want it to have that kind of interior mid between mid and dragon pick kind of control that they wanted to. And they got caught out with a melee champion, right? Shime wants to be in the river. He wants to be in the fight or on a flank angle to find something creative to look for in a fight. They want the Jarvan to be able to accomplish the same thing, but neither one of them are capable of doing so because the control's just there for 100 Thieves. And even if you get it, you're still playing into an insane Vigar with all this CC to control the way that fights turn out. It's not good. Golden Guardians feel like they're without a win condition at this point in the game. I'm trying not to say just outright that 100 Thieves are going to win this one because their gold is not looking bad, but it feels so bad to be Golden Guardians right now.
It feels like a lack of action proactively coming out from Golden Guardians Academy. One place I can point is going to be Iconic again. We don't see him ganking early. We don't see him making those early plays, and this has allowed 100 Thieves next for their lanes to feel so confident pushing up as far as they are, getting the advancements that they are. 100 Thieves next. Looking out their jungle, Golden Guardians Academy are starting to stack up in this area. Iconic now stalking Donbray. Has to know that Fnatic's in the area as well. His red buff is up. That ward is going to spot him out, so having some insight where Fnatic is. Golden Guardians Academy not going to challenge, just getting the information for the time being.
There comes a time and a place where eventually, like, the scaling of this set is just not going to be anywhere near capable of being able to join fights for the most part. I feel like Jarvan eventually actually gets there very much so, too, into a composition like this, where, like, neither one of them can stand against the melee champions. Like, Xin Zhao, they're not going to be able to stand against Riven. Donbray is pretty much the only thing that can actually fight, but Donbray's job is just to put in an ultimate, put in some CC to the best of his ability, and then just stand there and make sure that nobody jumps on an Insanity or be a bodyguard for other people. So, like, you don't care, right? You don't care if he actually goes down in a fight. So eventually, you're just losing so many members of this team, and no gold has gone on to the right members. And Golden Guardians, that they're lacking it. 100 Thieves have done a great job, not only just shutting that out by ganking Ryoma and setting up Insanity for a bunch of success, but the fact that 31 CS top lane, because nothing has gone on up there, there's been no action at all. Bottom lane, they got the 1 kill off the back of the early play, but no ganks went down there either. Now Donbray's in some trouble, but he's not even good now.
Oh, he's not even going to go down. He's going to get the hook and return the favor to Iconic. Iconic drops in the process, but it's going to be Donbray giving up his life. The curtain call comes out. Ray picks up that kill. 1-for-1 exchange, but that is a jungler for support. 100 Thieves next are happy to take that.
It's a 1-for-1, and Array does trade a kill with Stixay, which I think is ultimately favorable for the Aphelios. He gets stunned out. He's going to take so much damage!
Oh my goodness!
Oh no!
That damage was insane. Came right out of Insanity. He's able to punish Stixay for the misstep. Chime just trying to defend here. Too much of a threat is Insanity right now, and too early of a stage of a game.
What defense are you to hold against that either? What are you supposed to do to prevent Stixay from dying there? You have no protection tools. You've got aggression out of your set, right? You've got aggression out of your Jarvan. You don't have anything defensive. You have your counterplay to that is try to aggress against the Vigar, but you can't because the cage is in the way. There's no way for you to play into that. It's terrible. 100 Thieves have dug themselves so far into this hole. I don't think there's a way for them to dig out, right? I don't think there is. They traded 1-for-1 here, which was great. They took way too long to try to kill Donbray over the course of this play, which was so shocking. It was because Donbray turned around. I feel like they didn't really need to full commit to this if they didn't want. They were a little early because I think Sniper wanted to be here for the entirety of the play. If they had waited another 5 seconds, maybe he would have been here, or the wards would have driven off the back line. But this is the important part. Insanity walks up. There's no way you can let him do this. He just walks up and catches Stixay. Who's there to deter him from doing that? Yes, the flash ends up getting burned because Insanity doesn't want to get caught in an ult there from Chime after like a haymaker or something along those lines. But it doesn't matter. Like, I don't even know that they would have killed him if he had that unless they put him under tower.
I mean, if we're going to see situations like this heal is not really going to do you any favors. I would have much liked to cleanse when you're dealing with Insanity being this aggro at this stage of the game. You can tell Golden Guardians are trying to set up something. They keep doing these proactive movements. Like early, they shoved in the bot lane to try and set up Rift Herald, but going after Donbray backfired on them. Now they're trying to find another setup towards this Drake as they push in some vision towards this bottom side. Sniper going a little bit blind here, doesn't realize there's 3 members of Golden Guardians waiting for him. Is going to spot that out now. Here comes the flag and drag over the walls. Iconic looks to chase after Sniper. Sniper gets away and makes it look easy.
Nobody decided to flank around the outside edge because they're terrified that he was going to turn that situation. And now, that's a very dead Ryoma in the mid lane. The Corki has been bullied all game long. Mid tower goes down. Insanity's actually on the cutoff angle as well, so nobody can walk directly here, which means they might actually pull mid inner as well. Which is... this game's chalked. Like, I don't even know how else to say it. I feel like 100 Thieves just win this one. They're only up 2k, but this already feels like a defeat for Golden Guardians. It feels like they're doing nothing to accomplish anything short of just getting beat in this game.
I thought Insanity was about to take him out over the wall. That was terrifying right there. And this Vigar, definitely very terrifying. 334 AP so far, 194 stacks. And look at his farm, 205. He's going faster than the timer thus far. He is a beast. He is definitely going to be the carry of this game.
Yeah, and he's gotten Anathemas, which is funny because I was actually contemplating who in the hell would he put this Anathemas on? Who is actually doing damage to him? And I'm like, Ryoma makes the most sense, right? Maybe Stixay, because Stixay's got AD in his back pocket. My real thought was like, he probably put it on Tony Top, and that means nobody can kill him. Because in a team fight, if Tony Top gets on top of him, maybe he can burst him because he's got some damage and some sustain, so it's a little harder for him to just like, pure get through it, but I think that's probably just not the case, because like, why would you put an Anathemas on somebody you haven't interacted with all game? So instead he just throws it on Corki, because Corki's the only person who can put damage into him realistically in the course of this game, and now all of a sudden nobody can kill him. There's no threat to his health bar at all.
Insanity has not missed a beat on this Vigar. Again, this is a very skilled and experienced mid laner here in Insanity. We talked about it earlier, provides a lot of the teachings for General Sniper and Donbray, but it's not just that. It's his performance. I mean, it's the most kills out of any other mid laner in this tournament so far. He has stats to back it up. He gets first blood a third of the time when it comes to 100 Thieves next.
He's incredibly valuable as a player. To be able to bring on a player like Insanity, the level of Insanity, I seem to remember also there was like a quote from Papa Smithy at one point where he talked about this team would not even be a bottom 2 team in LCS. I remember being skeptical about that. This is making me rethink that decision. Like, it really is the way that this team is performing right now. Like, Insanity is already insane. There's no way of talking about that. Sniper's been performing above the level of the majority of the top laners he's playing against. Ray and Don Bray have been good. I know Don Bray's just stepping in for Arrow, but his performances have been at least adequate enough to keep attention on him for the majority of the event. I think he's one of the better. I think Chime has been better ultimately, but like Don Bray's had his own performances, and Fnatic is just incredible in his own volition as well. It's so hard to pick apart a member of this team that just is not valuable the way that every other member is. It's been insane watching 100 Thieves have performances. This is perhaps, to me, the most dominating performance they've put out. They have absolutely given nothing to Golden Guardians to cling on to for hope in this game. This feels like a game where like the blood is just being dripped out of Golden Guardians, and they can't do anything to salvage this. They can't stop the bleeding at all. They're just waiting for this game to be over.
It is very much a slow bleed at this stage of the game, Dean. It is brutal. 100 Thieves next are now establishing vision towards the Baron side of the map. And I begin to worry for Golden Guardians Academy even more. They don't really have much that can stay alive in these fights. They don't have much that's gotten any income, any resources to be an asset in these team fights. You know, you get anyone too close enough, you see what happens to a short-range ADC like Corki, Ryoma being on it, gets too close, Insanity will delete them. And honestly, Insanity can take out anyone that he wants. He wants Chime this time. Out comes the curtain call. Dev Charge gonna find the knockup. Last bullet of the curtain call finds its mark. Chasing Golden Guardians away, showing what a threat Insanity and Dawnbreak can be. Don't even need a Ray fully there. And there is another baby cage coming out. A lot of damage coming out to Stixxay, but Tony Top will charge Insanity. Try to take out Insanity. That's a lot of health, but he's getting lower and lower. There's 2 members right around Insanity. Puts out the baby cage. Out comes the Cataclysm, but Insanity will survive. And down will go Golden Guardians Academy. Only Ryoma alive, but just barely. But this is Baron right here for 100 Thieves next.
The single target damage, man, it is too much. If any person gets any pick tool or any amount of CC dropped onto them, they die. That's it. The game, like the fight is basically over. It started off right there. I think it was with Iconic or Chime at the very beginning, and he got brought down even through his own maximum grit shield. Near impossible to accomplish. The rest of that fight was multiple members trying to get onto Insanity, but they can't do it. There's too much damage going into the one target necessary to actually accomplish that feat, and because of that, they're throwing things against the wall and nothing is sticking, and that just has cost them this game now. There's nothing for them to accomplish. You gotta love the flash from Dawnbray right there, and then the ability to catch. Tony Top's threat into Insanity. I told you, this is the person his Anathemas needed to be on, because that was the only person that could actually threaten it there. You can see Sniper actually body blocks Stixxay. We didn't get to catch that because we were slightly off camera right there, so I'm glad the observers went back and caught that because that was cool. It's also the first kill of the game that Sniper has been a part of the entire game as well. But everybody, like you said, they're playing crazy right here.
Oh, Ryoma just died to the tower. That feels bad. No one was even chasing him, so there's a chance he could have gone into a bush and just taken a recall, but another kill going over to Insanity. 9.0 KDA, and look at 100 Thieves next. They're going forward on the Golden Guardians Academy. There's the baby cage put down, and Iconic put down as well. Chime goes after Insanity, but you're not going to find much over there. Fnatic getting lower and lower. Sniper will take down Ryoma in the process as the hook gets another kill in for Insanity. Chime goes after Fnatic. It's all for naught now. Only Stixxay is alive, but Sniper sees him. He wants to repeat that kill he got earlier, and it's all going to be too easy. An ace coming out for Insanity. 100 Thieves next. They got this one in the books.
Yeah, they've just been flexing slowly over the course of this game. All of a sudden, the wound is open. It's pouring blood at this point, and Golden Guardians, they just have no leg to stand at. They're done. This game is completely over. This is now Dragon Soul. They get to set themselves up with a Cloud Soul. In the previous game, I said it was strong, but it didn't quite win this. I think with a Vigar in the back pocket, 10% more movement speed, 60% with an ultimate, you're never catching this guy. Like, he's too fast. He's too fast now. You can't actually get on to him. He already is rocking Anathemas. He's rocking armor with the Zonias as well, and now he's too fast for you? No, there's no way you come back from this. This is too easy for Golden 100 Thieves to just be able to play out to the best of their extent and walk into game 3 with a 2-0 advantage with just such a demoralizing victory here.
No, Iconic. He has to burn his flash to get away from Insanity. It is so painful, man. 307 stacks, 644 AP.
It's not fair, man. It's just not fair. It's not fair. They ganked for him early. They ganked for him early, man. It's not fair. Play out the game without ganking. See how strong it's maybe that's the copium that can be held from the side of Golden Guardians. But
Yeah, the Call of Duty excuse.
yeah, the Call of Duty. You know what to happen. Like I said, I feel like it was just a double-edged sword. They got Insanity ahead while getting Ryoma behind, and now, like I said, Golden Guardians just haven't had a composition for this from basically the get-go, or at least it was very difficult from the get-go to accomplish anything. They're just waiting for this team to end things. I feel like this is a point in a solo queue game where somebody would be so tilted that they would just like open mid lane and there'd be like 4 people waiting here. It's felt like that for quite some time, where 100 Thieves now just waiting to walk down the lane, waiting to close one. It's a question for Golden Guardians now. Oh, actually, we got a chance.
Chime looking to bring in Dawnbray, going into the back line. Fnatic gets low, but Golden Guardians are getting lower. Dawnbray tries to walk out, but that is the support. And here's your top lane carry in Sniper as Array delivers the curtains. Now a couple of more slices. No, Sniper will get the best of that. He'll resurrect as well. It's all for swag at this point as 100 Thieves next. 20-3. Dominates Golden Guardians Academy.
And now, walking into game number 3 for Golden Guardians, you have to contemplate. Do you go back to blue side and run back another strategy where you potentially give yet another matchup that in a one-on-one ends up going relatively even for both top laners, where it feels like they had, I mean, ultimately Sniper had better gold, he had better CS, he looked better in this game, had more impact, but I feel like it wasn't a horrid game from Tony Top, right? They're just killing them in the fountain at this point. Like, you can do that, but then what do you run back? I feel like jungle position's getting slow, low-key flexed on. And now it's like, okay, do you first pick top? Do you first pick jungle? Like, what are you doing here? Or do you go to red side and try to shake something up?
That's what we're hoping for, right? Finally, just swapping sides, not just sticking to GGA blue all series. But what a performance there. Array also kind of low-key sneaking in 8-0-6 in that game. It is a great performance coming out from all of 100 Thieves next. And it shows you that they don't just have one superstar. While Sniper Wolf looks Sniper Wolf. Oh, wrong person completely. While Sniper looks completely on track, on key, while he's completely a stud, you're now seeing what Insanity can do with that wealth experience, what Array can do when he's unchecked in the backline and just allowed to freely fish for those curtain calls.
So we've now seen a game where Array got put on display as being like the #1 carry. We've seen a game where Insanity has been put on display as the #1 carry. It is now time for 100 Thieves to put their top laner on display and let Sniper go crazy inside of a game, right? I've been expecting this for the majority of this. For Golden Guardians, I still think they need a better game plan. If it's blue side, they really have to go back to the drawing board and say, how are we going to attack bot lane? They still have yet to really accomplish that feat over the course of this game, and that's what you really need to accomplish. That's perhaps the one thing you could try that's been working for you all tournament that you surprisingly have not done yet today. And if you don't do that, again, contemplate red side. You don't want to go walk out of the series and be like, ah, man, we picked leave 3 times in a row and we weren't able to get anything done. If only we had picked red 1 time. You don't want that. You want to have the ability to say, at least be through something at the last second and try it in this series.
Well, we'll see if they do the side swap, but first, let's get to our analyst desk who are going to break down that game right after this break. Be sure to stay tuned.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Unified Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier. We're inside the finals, and 100 Thieves Nets, I believe on the caster said it, casting a shadow right now. It is hard for any of these teams, and Golden Guardians are having a bit of a struggle now, guys. That was a very decisive game, number 2.
Mm-hmm. We were excited about the Riven, and we still got the Riven. But we didn't actually get to see that much Riven in that game. It was just Veigar the whole time. Insanity's way too good. You talked about them casting a shadow. Veigar, this little, tiny Yordle, is way bigger than anything else in this game. It's crazy. He's a 3-star Yordle Lord in this game for sure.
It was disgusting. It was deleting people. I had 1 AP item, by the way, throughout the entire game. Just want to bring that up. But the Baby Rage Cage takes no prisoners. And, Cubby, you were looking at that game, seeing that cage get laid down, and you just were like, ooh, as everything was hit.
Yeah, I know that, my boss, Kelsey Moser, tweeting about some fan service picks. We got the Sniper Riven, we've got the Tony Top Gwen, and then Insanity Veigar, which was just kind of forgotten about and brushed over, and Insanity was like, nope, it's all about me this game. And the setup that 100 Thieves had, I know that Mike Young, you were kind of saying they need to have better setup around mid if they want to use snowballs for GGA in game 1. I think game 2, 100 Thieves did a beautiful job of seeing, the power of that, playing into that Corki and making sure that thing never got off the ground.
Yeah, what 100 Thieves next did this game was exactly what I wanted GG Academy to do last game that they didn't do, which was use the setup mid champion, use that CC with the jungle and support gank, and repeat over and over. And they did that pretty beautifully.
I have a special guest analyst here. Can we flip it over to a certain tweet that we had that we all ended up seeing? I feel like needs to be shown here. Sniper Noob.
The one time he gets it, man.
He's been waiting for this moment to debut it.
Hey, he's infinite KDA on the Riven, so that's a fun stat we can use later, right? He didn't die a single time. He also didn't really get that many kills or anything, but no deaths. No deaths is the optimist take.
Deathless on Riven. Has a ring to it. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And you can see the draft here. We were looking at how the draft came through, and you already talked about it. I want to throw this over to you, Kobe, because you were talking about the Veigar and how the cage worked. I was sold on a lot of things about GGA until I saw the Veigar pick.
So, on the side of GGA, we talked a lot about Gwen. Tony now 9-2 on the champion, but 9-1 going into that game across all levels of play. We were kind of saying, we feel like this is really important, but GGA might be able to play into it and get that powerful Thresh, Aphelios, Jarvan in the first 3 that makes a blue side comp so solid, and that 100 Thieves was giving each of these games. GGA has yet to opt for that, and this time around, Sniper doesn't have to dig deep into his champ pool to find something that's good against Gwen.
Yeah.
And I feel like they just didn't get enough out of that bot lane, and a lot of credit to Donbray. I know that Donbray had a tough day yesterday, and game 1 on the Braum, you can only do so much, but after getting killed in lane by Chime Set, had a really nice recovery, 2 good roams mid, which opened things up for Insanity, and made it possible for him to go Legendary this game.
And the thing that I mentioned at the top of the show as well sort of is coming into play here, depending on what Golden Guardians wants to do, which is if they get into a situation where they are at match point against 100 Thieves, do they consider switching over to red side to try to get that top lane counter pick just to find some more momentum in the series? Because if they do get a win doing that, they still have to go back to blue side afterward, you have to believe, but just getting that extra momentum, proving that they can actually win against this team, which we already know. We know that this can be a really close series. It's going to be really valuable for them. It's something that they do have to consider. I don't know. I think I'm trying to hear from our production to see.
They are red.
GGA is red.
Hey! I'm a genius.
Big brain, Giga Brain Smats here. It's going to take a lot, though. I mean, we have some replays. I think we actually have quite a few of them to kind of show how this game just got unhinged. And we've been talking about Insanity. It's hot on our tongues. But Mike Young, this was just a setup. 100 Thieves Nets, they knew what their win con was.
Yeah, for sure. I was generally impressed because it wasn't just an Insanity show. It was more of the synergy between the pathing, the jungle pathing with the mid skills. And then later on in the game, support got involved, made it even harder for the Corki. So here, we blew the flash, and then they come back again, and the next time it's just guaranteed.
The repeat gank is just so deadly here. And the Veigar cage makes it so easy as well. It's just like everything flowing together super well. Like you said, that was just the first of many. We've got a lot of other plays that display this on top of it and just show just how powerful you can be when you relentlessly attack a lane like this.
You get to see the effects of these attacks right here, right? This is just brutal. Poor Ryoma, right?
I do like the strategy though, because here I do have to touch on this. This was a bigger mistake from GG. I draw up to comms. I think the Chime has to be the one that flashes first, as the flash EQ from Jarvan is really easy to react to. So when Iconic preemptively flashes, 100 Thieves just gets to reaction flash away. If Chime does the flash clap, that's a lot harder to dodge out on, and I think Iconic might have been able to dodge or combo off of it and make a play there. When they drop those two flashes, that does kill any tempo that they have to try and respond on the map as well. So the setup from 100 Thieves, not only does the initial play pay off, but they also win out on GGA's response, which just wasn't quite in sync.
One thing that I'm quite impressed about from 100 Thieves Next is just the mid jungle and support synergy. How a lot of it is tied into each other, as we saw from the last replay, and specifically here, just noticing that the mid jungle synergy, where you're synergizing the wave crash timing with the dive attempt. This is something we didn't see in the first game when GG had the opportunity when they were the aggressors. Now in this game, the Veigar plus Xin Zhao is obviously the aggressors. They actually pull off these dives.
Right, a real small point in that last replay, when they were going for that dive, both Donbray and Array stepped away from that turret, which Iconic could have counter dived. So this isn't only just a mid jungle thing, this is a team effort coming out from them, and they're the better team on the day through 2 games. So I really want to see if Red Side's the solution for GGA, and if they can try and patch some things up. Maybe they opt for a lot of scaling, maybe a counter pick makes it happen for them, but 100 Thieves Next are really playing good League of Legends, especially in that last game. Game 1, few holes, but a good comeback. This game is really nice from them.
And hey, we saw the creation of the raid boss, right? And Smats, you were talking about it. Hey, there was more to this team. Talking about the team, so many things went right for them in this Nets replay that we have here, just showing how these teams were able to work together so well.
Yeah, we get to see the culmination of everything coming together. Insanity at this point has an Anathema's Chains already and a stopwatch, so he's impossible to kill. And I do want to take this moment to highlight something that I mentioned yesterday about 100 Thieves Next, which is that this team does have a lot of players on it that are all very well versed in carrying. Array, previously on Resolve, was the main carry of his team. Sniper, of course, we're expecting to be a big carry, and he has been shown to do that as well on this team. And they're showing that really well here too, with Insanity being the main focus. Array taking a bit of a backseat, playing utility in this game, a very well played game of Jhin. And Sniper, even though he's playing his signature Riven, he's not really involved until the late game team fights, because he doesn't have to be. You're setting up for the mid lane. You have so many potential players on this team for 100 Thieves Next, and we just keep getting it proof of that more and more and more in just the first tournament that they're playing, just the first month.
I will say for Sniper, I don't know if 100 Thieves Next are trying to buff up his CSD stats, and if he's trying to roll swap to support, like the rest of the league supports they have in their org. Because if they want to go for the Sniper highlight reel, I feel like, you need to actually pull that off instead of just going for CSD.
Chime is the support with the highest CSD in Academy right now.
God.
So that actually is something very important for them to do. Also worth noting, Sword, who will likely be coming into this team at the next tournament, is second in that. So we got some pretty good supports at these teams.
Mike Young, with all the hype, everything going into this, it's looking heavily like 100 Thieves Nets. They have Golden Guardians Academy number. If you look at this team after these 2 games, who is the threat? Who are you looking at that you're the most scared of from this 100 Thieves Nets roster?
So actually, this might be shocking because I didn't talk much about the bot lane at all this entire best of 5, but they've been surprising me. They've won lane almost every single game, or in this case, they didn't necessarily like get first tower or get a lot of plays, but their impact in the game was more significant. I think the draft was really smart in this game too. You don't really need a hyper carry 80 carry when you have a Veigar and a Riven. The Jhin setup is actually super helpful. And I think the Nautilus just roaming and playing for the Veigar more than the Jhin when Jhin is just set up is also really smart. So I have to give my props more to the bot lane than the flashy solo laners actually.
I like to hear it. Well, hey, it is possibly the final moment for Golden Guardians Academy. Their backs are currently against the wall, and 100 Thieves Nets, they're looking to push them straight through it. So with that being said, we got the lads on the mic. We got Tesserates, we got Rebel Fots, and they're ready to bring us into game. So gentlemen, take it on away.
We're not the boys now, Rebel. We're the lads, and we are ready to take this away, potentially for the last time. Golden Guardians Academy just haven't been able to keep up with 100 Thieves Next so far.
Not in the slightest. It feels like 100 Thieves are able to sit themselves in a position where they're always comfortable in the late game. They're always comfortable in the 5-on-5, the team fight. They're like, oh, we win that. Now we just get to do anything else we want, and it's your job to do something else, and Golden Guardians have yet to be able to find that. I'm hoping the swap to red side helps them on a couple of different verses. Number one, I'm hoping it gives them some kind of ability to counterpick jungle potentially, or give Iconic something that he's more comfortable in the one-on-one matchup with the jungle to hopefully put down Fnatic, or at least be more proactive than Fnatic in the early stage of the game. And they've got a counterpick for either Ryoma or for Tony Top in the top lane. Normally, I'd be an advocate of giving that to Tony Top in an attempt to get him going, but it seems like he and Sniper are decently similar footing, even when one of them is on a pretty superior or favored matchup over the other one. And so I'd actually prefer to see that go to Ryoma this game. And hopefully he has something that he can control the lane with, they could dive the lane with, and they could use that control to shift bot, shift top, whatever they need to do.
Personally, for me, I'm definitely looking for much more early game proactivity coming out from Golden Guardians Academy, because that's something that's very much been missing in both Game 1 and Game 2. We just see a lot of 100 Thieves Next being able to establish themselves on the map, get priority exactly where they need to, and Fnatic just gets pushed into his own jungle without anywhere to go.
It's been a difficult position that Golden Guardians have found themselves in, where it feels like their lanes aren't necessarily going horrible, but every time that there's interaction, 100 Thieves are the ones that are winning the situation, or 100 Thieves are the ones that end up on a pretty decent foot. The early game hasn't gone phenomenally for Golden Guardians. A lot of their lead just hasn't been something they've been able to transfer into something tangible. And so this game, to me, is all about setting yourselves a win condition that is obtainable for the side of Golden Guardians, because so far, that has really been their one big problem. They haven't been able to find a win condition, and they haven't been able to obtain that win condition by any standard at all. This game, you can see slightly different versions of bans that are coming out from both sides. The Ezreal ban, I think, is new from the side of 100 Thieves as well, which is of interest just because you're thinking maybe they really want the roaming champion for Chime in this game to have a massive impact across the map, so they're just going to take away that safety alongside the Caitlyn as well. In fact, 4 ADCs banned out here, which means Jhin probably has to rise a little bit in priority, and it's a question of where do you go to next.
So a lot of banning away from the marksman champion pool, making sure Stixay can't be in that situation where he can stay bot lane and feel safe underneath his tower. And one of the things we kept talking about was enabling Chime to be able to roam out there. 100 Thieves have been able to stop that pretty handily so far, as they have locked into Xin Zhao so far over as their first pick. The retort from Golden Guardians Academy is going back to the Viego.
It's I don't know. There's a position where Iconic knows what's coming, right? Like, you know Xin Zhao is getting first picked here. There's no way they're giving it over. There's no way anything else is coming out. It's going to Fnatic's hands. He's played it 2 games in a row. You know that's coming, so you go Viego, which is fine for Iconic, because, again, he plays this champion a lot. He's played it in this matchup. He knows what he's doing. My problem with it is I feel like there are better picks to control early game. I like Trundle. Where's Trundle? Like, that would be a perfect pick for Iconic. Yes, you can't necessarily farm as crazy. You can't go. But you got Pillar. You get the interaction. You get the one-on-one up against Fnatic. Like, you have have ways to better control early game where the floundering has really come through. So this is, to me, speaking to Golden Guardian, saying, okay, Iconic is going to carry this game, or at least he's going to be up there in terms of carry pressure for the game, and they step back Stixxay. They say, okay, Stixxay, we're not playing to you, we're playing the Jhin instead. You're going to grab that one. He's had success on this champion. I'm not surprised they're going to try it, but this feels a little weird just because, again, our expectation was, hey, play to bot side all series, and they're still not doing it even in game 3 with their backs against the wall.
This one kind of cracks me up. 100 Thieves next. Going to lock into Leona. Don Bray, I want to give him it as somewhat of a criticism, just grabbing the Leona. He always goes for, like, Nautilus, Leona. He tends to go for the tanky engages more than anything. He has a pretty shallow pool, but he's never really had to expand on that. He plays really well towards that playstyle and has been pretty well cemented into it, as the next lock-in for 100 Thieves next is going to be the Senna. So definitely a shakeup coming here, Dean.
Absolutely is. I like the Senna specifically in this setup. There's ways to potentially aggress against this bottom lane. When you pair this with Leona specifically, this bottom lane actually becomes an aggressive one. Back when Senna was really meta in the years prior, especially when she first came out last year, or I think the year before actually, a lot of people were taking defensive lanes with her and things that were like farming, of course. Leona was one of the best lanes to play with her when she was a farming champion, because you don't play this champion on the back foot. You play it on the front foot. You want to aggress, you want to auto attack, you want to get those souls as much as possible, and Leona was the highest win rate combination with her between those two. Now, in fairness, Leona was meta, she was meta. It was a perfect combination of champions one way or another. This, to me, also, the selection of Rakan, while it's defensive for the Jhin, it's a little difficult as Leona to have pure sticking power prior to level 6 against a Rakan. You usually can slip out as both the ADC and as the support in that particular situation. It's a roaming pick. This is Chime saying, I'm leaving. I will not be here anymore. I'm going to go attack the rest of the map.
We got to see that from Chime. Previous matches from Golden Guardians Academy have been won often off the back foot of both Chime and Ryoma, just getting those leads. First phase of the draft going to be done. Golden Guardians going with the Viego, Jhin, and Rakan thus far. 100 Thieves next. Xin Zhao, Leona, and Senna. So a lot of aggressive engage that we can get out of 100 Thieves next. They are going to ban away the Syndra and Gwen. Meanwhile, Golden Guardians Academy taking away the Jace. Akali focusing onto that top lane. Now setting up Tony Top to go back, and I know you kind of hate it, Dean. We've been seeing him play a lot throughout this tournament, not having the best success, but Renekton locked in for Tony Top.
Listen, I get it, right? I get the idea, the identity of wanting a blind pick top laner like this, but I feel like you are picking this into the wrong person, and I feel like this is not the blind pick champion. There's a Camille on the board. You can take Camille. Camille might have worse counters, potentially, to deal with against Sniper, but I feel like taking Camille here is more comfort for Tony, right? Like it's about getting him into a position where he feels fine, and the Renekton has not been that for Tony over the course of this lock-in tournament or anything that we've really seen from him on this champion. So yes, it's blind pick. It's something we've seen him go to time and time again in this tournament, but to me, it's not an inspired top lane pick. I'm hoping they've got something really special planned for mid lane here, because Ryoma's got to pick up quite a bit of the slack in this particular setup.
Okay, I thought for a second there.
Yeah. I was like, are they actually, like, did they bait out the Grace top and they're going to pick Tryndamere into it, something along those lines? But no, instead they're just going to go to the Orianna. They're going for a very stock standard type composition here. They've got like a diver, actually multiple divers to set up like an Orianna Shockwave. Their damage backbone is mostly an Iconic, which isn't shocking. They've tried this composition a number of times with Viego and the jungle being like the reset city, being able to have a bunch of damage. For Golden Guardians, this does feel like also combat for a team fight setup, right? Like where you've got Shockwave, you've got a Rakan, you've got good AoE out of like the Renekton to frontline. You've got ways to try to combat in that 5-on-5. But ultimately, I'm not in love with what Golden Guardians is showing here. I'm kind of loving the combination of the Senna Quirky. I feel like that's really difficult to deal with for Golden Guardians, because the only diver you've got is Rakan, and Rakan is going to get blown up or CC'd to death just because Leona's standing in play.
I get very afraid for the top side, bringing it back towards the Renekton. Looking at the last times that Tony Top has played the Renekton, out of the last 5 games, he's only won with it once. It has not been a good pick for him. He's been struggling to be able to maneuver this champion, and he's going against Sniper, who now has a champion with carry potential on the Graves.
It's very possible. Typically, the Graves is used more as just kind of, again, one of these brick wall type picks where it's like, okay, you can't really fight Graves in the early game. He's got a lot of damage from close range, especially his melee champions. He's going to build a lot of sustain. It's going to make it difficult for him to actually take a bunch of damage in the side lane. Ganking him is a lot more of the strategy, and this is where maybe Iconic could try to counter capitalize and find aggression into it. Although it wouldn't shock me if Fnatic decided to put some attention up to this Graves on the top side of the map, right? Oriana's pretty safe. Ryoma understands how to operate the Ryoma, or the Oriana, my apologies, in that mid lane matchup. And so it wouldn't shock me if Fnatic decided to go for attacking up towards Sniper or down towards the Leona and then play into the mid lane instead of what we saw in the previous, where they attacked for the Vigar. Just because of how easy it is for Corki to get out of this laning phase, but pretty much unscathed, especially against the Viego. That's never really been the early game pressure that we've seen from Iconic most of the time.
It kind of blows me away that there's so many marksman bans and so many marksmen picked at the same time. 100 Thieves next, already locking in 3 of them with the Corki, Graves, and Senna. Over on the opposite side, Golden Guardians Academy able to grab that ADC, able to grab the Jhin. But before we do head on to the Rift here, we do have to give a quick thank you to one of our sponsors, and that sponsor is going to be Skulls. Are you looking to upgrade your gamer gear? Well, look no further. Start 2022 off right with official Unified Esports merchandise brought to you by Skulls. Hoodies, joggers, jerseys, armbands, and a lot more coming soon. You have the skill, now get the swag. Skulls.com/collections/unified has everything you need. You're up, game on. Skulls. So, getting back into this, Dean, and the matchup up at hand, I want to know your personal expectations on how you see this playing out just off the draft alone.
There's a lot of setup here, I guess, for Golden Guardians. I feel like they've banked so much on Chime here, just to try to get something going for them early in the stages of the game. I feel like Iconic has to get quite a bit of gold to be able to be a carry for this team. Ryoma, it does feel like a composition that could play into Ryoma decently, right? They've got Jhin for some utility on the bottom side, and he's pretty good at just kind of stonewalling in bottom lane, not falling to the wayside. On for the roaming as well to try to help set up Ryoma. If Iconic is around that area, they can really pinch for 3 members and try to put pressure onto Insanity and get something to stick the way that it hadn't in the first 2 games. But that's my comeuppance for this one. I feel like they don't really find that much success if they gank for the Renekton in the top side. I feel like getting your Jhin ahead isn't going to accomplish all that much in a game like this, just because it's you're trying to fight up against a Corki and a Senna who eventually could outrange you pretty easily and just put damage into you for free. So to me, the Oriana and trying to team fight feels like Gold Guardians are going for here, but that goes against what 100 Thieves have really been able to do very successfully throughout this entire series. So Golden Guardians, I guess they're just shooting for the stars on this one.
All right, well, here we go, hitting the Rift potentially for the final time grand finals here for the LCS Proving Ground Circuit Qualifiers. Golden Guardians Academy versus 100 Thieves next. Let us know in chat who you think is going to win. I want to know what the Duck thinks is going to win. Let's see, which way does he turn his head? How do we get him to vote for us? Come on, producer. Did it work? Make the Duck move.
Make the Duck move.
Oh!
No, he looked at Ryoma.
The Duck decided.
That's a vote for GGA. The Duck thinks GGA.
We have a series.
We have a series, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, goodness gracious.
That is this time.
More importantly, though, if he gets that wrong, I guess we could call him a quack of an analyst.
Dang.
I'm sorry, it was low-hanging fruit, but it was worthwhile. I don't get to make duck jokes that often, man.
I don't even think it was that low-hanging. I just didn't see it coming. You don't really get the duck pun here and there.
You don't see the duck that often, and our observers, they gave me a tree here to be able to play with. Thank you so much to our production crew for that.
So starting off bottom side for both junglers right here. Fnatic going to start off on his red buff. Iconic just taking the blue buff start.
Nothing insane to begin this game with. Both of them likely pathing up towards topside. Once again, the potential for topside, we've talked about it quite a bit between Tony Top and Sniper and the types of volatility that these matchups can hold. I feel like this is actually the quietest matchup we've had throughout this entire series between the Graves and the Renekton. I feel like we're not going to get too much out of these two. Which is saying something, because last game we had a Gwen-Riven combination, and those two didn't do anything for the first 20 minutes of the game. And so now we're getting Renekton Graves, and I feel like this is even less interactive. But this is the game where you're going to see 18 kills or something along those lines.
I'm utterly disappointed because we've had a Riven at this point. We've had a Jax at this point.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the Jax v Riven matchup.
Oh. I would have preferred that. That would have actually been an absolute banger. And the problem is then the producer has nowhere to put the camera except top lane. It's like there are 4 other players on both teams on the map. You got to see everybody else a little bit.
Picture in picture, Rebel. Picture in picture.
It's just a constant picture in picture of the top lane matchup. No, there's a constant picture in picture of the normal camera, and the top lane matchup's the big one.
Fnatic trying to pray into this mid lane, not going to find anything. Still pathing up towards that top side. has plenty of camps towards that top side, so we should have a little bit of a meeting of the junglers.
I think they spotted him there. Pretty sure that was the case. Ryoma very likely was able to catch him before he went through, and he was slowed down, which means there's an entire camp advantage for Iconic now, where like he's already done with Raptors and Red and the bottom side, and so far Fnatic is only just now picking off his blue. So if there's competition for the Scuttle Crab, actually Fnatic's going to be done, because Iconic came up here to likely hover for top lane in case of a gank, but appears as though that's not going to be the case. So just going to go to his Krugs and continue the full clear. Tony Top's got a wave in the nice position to not really get ganked, and Iconic just willing to give up the top side Scuttle Crab. Again, that's not as valuable as it was at one point. So Fnatic just going to be able to walk away with that one in his back pocket. Plus the reset from Iconic comes out a little bit faster. We'll see if he can do anything with that timer. I'm hoping he's going to be able to punish somebody. And you can see Chime's already out of lane. He's already gone. He's level 3. He's ready and raring to go.
We said it during the draft. One of the goals is to get Chime out of lane, is to get him to roam, start impacting these other lanes. Already hovering over where Ryoma is. And Ryoma taking some pretty good exchange with this Insanity. It's always kind of deceptive to go against an Orianna, knowing she's a control mage, and sometimes you're just not really expecting the extra damage that comes on from those on-hit autos.
I want you to note right now, Leona is here and Zinzao is here. No, he didn't see him!
Oh, here he goes, going on to Tony top, waiting for the 3-talent strike. There is the knock-up, and Tony, will he survive? He just dashes away, barely getting out of the auto.
That was the coolest setup for a gank that I think I've ever seen, being able to use the Graves W to try to blind Tony so he wouldn't see Fnatic as he came out of the brush. It looks like it's not going to amount to anything, which is the Wind Beyond Lightning just a little too high on cooldown, but what a creative Okay. So earlier also, Donbray was pathing before we had the vision get toggled, and so I was worried that Donbray was on his way up and that he was about to arrive and they were going to have 3 people and Tony was going to waste his TP for what was a dive underneath the top tower, but fortunately not going to be the case. Nobody's there on the follow-up. They're not going to dive. Instead, it's just a full reset for Sniper.
5 minutes into this Insanity, trying to scope out where Iconic's being, seeing the attention put out from Fnatic. Iconic going to steal away some of those camps in the bot side, get more control towards that bot side. You can see Chime now kind of leaning out of lane, just looping around towards the try. Fnatic will be in that area as well. Nothing too big going to come of it.
Not really. The two of them, I mean, again, Chime has roamed down just to try to put as much pressure on this bottom side as he can. He's claimed some vision control. He claimed also Iconic's ability to go in and take that Raptor camp as just a snag. In a game like this, if Fnatic's early pressure can kind of be thwarted by either Iconic being able to catch him out or Chime being able to catch him on vision, things like that, the slower pace does mean that the Corki's still going to have to come online, the Souls are going to have to get stacked for Senna, so maybe there's like a mid-game spike that is on the horizon potentially as Tony goes in for the top lane matchup.
The Dominant's going to be popped, getting a lot of that additional damage over time as well onto Sniper. Just chasing him out now, only looking to shove in the wave. You do have Iconic waiting around the tower. Sniper not going to stick around, knowing that that is a potential dive setup.
This is the first look at a Golden Guardians team who's actually been leveraging some of their early lanes and that Iconic has been able to have a massive impact towards, right? Like, if this lane had given up a kill very early to Fnatic, this could have been problematic. But Tony Top now just gets to proxy this wave, and there's no way for Sniper to step back up. He's trying to get back, and now Fnatic's here with well to cover, which could be real problem for Tony. He's going to get caught out.
Oh, Tony not realizing that he stayed for far too long. Collateral damage in his face. Fnatic picking up first blood.
And Iconic not continuing to hover. Once he took that camp, he must have thought that Fnatic wasn't going to be able to come up here, or he thought that the timer would have been just messed up a little bit. So Iconic walks away as Tony Top is proxying this wave. He hangs out there, and they've got the 2v2. I feel like they're okay. Like, they are Renekton with a Viego combination. There's a lot of damage to be thrown in with that, with auto cancels, multiple auto attack type props, the Q, the W for Renekton, that kind of thing. But here, they just walk away, which is a tough position to be in.
All right, that's a good question right there, Dean. I am not personally sure. I think I would go with Insanity.
Yeah, if you had to judge these teams just by how threatening their names are. I mean, you have Sniper, Fnatic, Insanity, Array, and Donbray versus, like, Tony Top, Iconic, Ryoma, Stixay, Chime. I would probably have to say 100 Thieves have the more menacing names, like, just in a vacuum, right? Like, if you had no idea who these players were, you were just reading these names off. Like, Sniper, Fnatic, Insanity, those three alone have very menacing names to work with.
I mean, it's been reflecting quite well. 100 Thieves Next have been a terrifying team in North American Amateurs so far, you know. We're only a month into the new season, and just this one qualifier has shown a lot of their potential.
Really has potential, not only for just like the team itself, the 5 players, like everything about them has actually gone extremely well. And this isn't even the fullest iteration of the roster, because again, Donbray is going to be stepping out for Sword, because Busio is now back for the Academy team, which means that this team, they have a new support to kind of integrate when it comes to the next qualifier and in the next coming months, which will be, that's an interesting development to track, is just how well Sword will translate. But Sword's been having great performances inside of Academy, so you can expect that potentially could be an upgrade. What a play.
Oh, that was so good from Donbray, able to get that Zenith Blade. Ryoma so low, doesn't fall though. There's the ultimate from Array, snipes him down. Another kill going over to 100 Thieves next.
Donbray able to find the engagement into Ryoma. He's safe enough and he's positioned backwards. He's able to get out of that without taking too much damage. They don't have the most, but it is Array's ultimate that kind of confirms the elimination onto Ryoma right there. That is an amazing kill for the Senna to snag from all the way across the map, and now pressure immediately translates to topside.
Ooh, nice use of the Crescent Guard to knock Tony back. Waiting to get those autos in. The minion's going to block a lot of that damage. The collateral damage goes out, but Fnatic absorbs too many shots from the tower. A good stun coming out of Tony top.
Yeah, problematic right there. Not only the healing, the ultimate coming out for some additional bonus health, but like you said, pointed out, the minion wave coming in denied so much of the auto-attacking damage from Sniper that they really couldn't keep that going. I feel like that should have been called off pretty quickly, but at that point, Fnatic had stepped under the tower. He had taken 2 tower shots. There's no way he was getting out of that after the situation had come through. They would have had to be very proactive and say, like, okay, this isn't going to work. The minion wave's coming in. Don't seem to realize it in time. And opens up for Rift Herald because there is no Fnatic on the map. He's only just now coming back. Insanity has the package, but they're not even going to try to use that. They've got so many reinforcements here on the side of GGA Academy that they're just going to be able to muscle their way in for the Rift Herald. Well played.
Now, Stixay already hovering over towards the mid lane. Good move coming out of Golden Guardians Academy.
Nice.
We've got to take a look at that Zenith Blade. So beautiful from Don.
Yeah, I love that. The E-Flash combination is a little bit tricky to try to understand. And again, look at that ultimate from Array. Pushed him forward into the other team to potentially throw in damage, but Ryoma just doesn't even walk away. And then Fnatic immediately, he says, okay, I can go tank top, or I can go gank top lane, because look how far Tony was up in the lane. He only just started moving away, perhaps on the communication, but the wave coming in is the important one. The ultimate from Fnatic kind of knocked him away. I was hoping maybe the angle was better to try to get on a sniper. Look at that trade of damage. The W, the triple shot between the Q, getting a little bit more damage, as well as the sustain coming in. Tony top is just too much of a health pool for those two to be able to accomplish in that fact, or in that play.
Tony able to get a kill, try and redeem this Renekton over on the top side against Sniper. That is Fnatic going down in that last exchange. Now Fnatic headed towards this bottom side, roaming out with Donbray a little bit. They're now starting to take a close look at this Drake. It is priority going over to Golden Guardians Academy in the bottom lane. It's going to free up Chime to start to walk out. Still hovering down is going to be Array, has no problem staying there, has no problems leaving Donbray to go roam on his own towards the mid lane.
Yeah, interestingly, of course, with all the roaming that Chime has been able to accomplish, the first and only successful gank from a support was Donbray right there in the mid lane. So the best efforts were attempted to be accomplished, but Chime still hasn't been able to do what he wants. He has level 6 now, so he is far more threatening on this Rakan to be able to CC lock somebody, and I think that does have an impact. His warding in the bottom river as well has kept it so hard for 100 Thieves to focus on Dragons, which has been a massive part of their game plan. What a stop of the back right there. It just kind of gets into his face. Oh, we love these 2 top laners. They're phenomenal.
Feels bad, man. Good stop right there. Going to waste a little bit of time of Tony top, but he will take the recall nonetheless. Now Stixay over in the bot lane. Here comes the Solar Flare. Will be flashed away. Stixay able to get away with it. 100 Thieves posing a threat.
I can appreciate that, because I think in a situation like that, if you burn Cleanse immediately afterwards, Donbray just goes for an E. You might have to flash anyway. Ryoma in the mid lane getting some great damage into Insanity.
Tell Insanity trying to bide his time, watching out for that shockwave. Ryoma still able to land it.
Ooh. And now Ryoma's going to be able to shove in this wave. TP is available for Insanity, though, and this means Ryoma probably gets pushed out. And that just confirms bottom river for 100 Thieves. I was about to talk about the fact that Golden Guardians have stalled out the first Drake for a good amount of time, and this has been the win condition that 100 Thieves have kind of built themselves on for the majority of the game. This is the first game where Golden Guardians have really been very competitive and trying to set themselves up, but once again, the win condition for 100 Thieves is available.
Ooh, Sniper looking good up there in the top lane as the teleport comes in from Insanity. Rift Herald goes down. It's only going to buy a couple of plates. Not going to get much else on top of that as Insanity coming in at a clutch time, preventing that dive.
incredible defense, not to mention the ultimate from Array being used to global for the additional shielding, the potential damage onto those two, meant that they couldn't go for a full dive on a sniper. It's already hard enough with the Eclipse and with the Graves being able to dash, throw the W down. There's a lot of problems that could come about from auto attackers, especially in melee range, trying to get underneath that tower. So thankfully, Golden Guardians, they just like call that. They're like, all right, let's get out of dodge as fast as possible, make sure this doesn't go over. So they do get the ultimate from Array and the teleport from Insanity, and still grab a couple of plates for their top jungle combination up there. Still, the problem remains that 100 Thieves is really good in the later stages. They've got a good team fight that they've shown time and time again. The Senna and the Corki are scaling pretty much unfiltered at this point by the side of Golden Guardians, as well as the top lane going over. And the gold, we talked about it, or at least I tried to mention this before we got in the game. I feel like gold into Renekton really isn't going to accomplish you all that much in this game, and that's where good amounts of resources come from Golden Guardians, or a good amount of gold currently is with that kill and the 126 CS.
Meanwhile, looking on the side of 100 Thieves next, you do have kills going genuinely the places you want to, mostly the places you want to see. You know, Ray having one of those kills, another one picked up by Fnatic, taking a look at the gold, and it's exactly as you said. Tony Top, all the way up there, having the most income of his squad, but Array and Insanity are exactly where they want to be.
Yeah, pretty much this entire 900 gold lead is just sitting in Tony Top. Everything else is relatively negligible. Another flashy from Donbray!
And he just wants Ryoma, and he will get him. Chine jumps in to try and provide some revenge to be acquired by Golden Guardians Academy. They're going to get that as they go after Donbray, going golden to prevent the ultimate. Insanity trying to get some damage in, but he cannot defend his support. Golden Guardians Academy do a 2-for-1 exchange. Able to get the better of that now in the top lane. Collateral damage comes out from Sniper. He tries to get away, puts out the end of the line. Tony with the Q, able to survive.
Yeah, Tony heard us talking trash on his Renekton before the game started, and he's put his foot down. He gets a kill up against Sniper underneath of his own tower right there. Incredible little play right there. Another problem for Golden Guardians, though, is Ryoma has gone down, hasn't been able to capture a bunch of gold, and Insanity's doing well. Yes, you are able to get a response play with 2 kills in the mid lane, which is fantastic. You're able to put one of those into Stixay, but again, I feel like Ryoma's so much of the team fight potential damage that you have to be careful about this. Donbray, again, out of a lapse of vision, the E-Flash combination onto Ryoma leads to the death of this. Thankfully, the reinforcements are here. You can see Chime gets there just in time to be able to keep everybody in place for Iconic to punish this a little bit more, and the fight continues. This is just a losing fight for 100 Thieves altogether. The fact that eventually, the Jhin is able to get here in time to punish for an additional kill is rather nice as well, all things considered. And then, of course, the top dive that comes in from Tony Top, where he's able to get a kill against Sniper. I mean, gold's going into good places. I feel like the Orianna still has to be one of your biggest focuses in a game like this. Otherwise, you do run the risk of that team fight still being very hard.
Top having a good display over there. The top side, Golden Guardians Academy now getting the gold lead. About 3K separating these squads as Chime starts roaming around towards the bot side. Zenith Blade goes out. Donbray able to find that one. You can see that gold lead right there. It's about 3K separating them. Now starting to hover around the Drake. We have a minute 20 before that does spawn. Rim and Chime walking together. This is kind of what we were expecting to see. We want to see more of this duo. We want to see more enabling of Ryoma. Starting to get a little bits of it. A lot of this is off of 100 Thieves next, going for these deep dives on the Ryoma, take him down, to keep giving something up thanks to a lot of those tower shots.
So much of this game and so much of the series, again, we talked about how much they put into Insanity in the mid lane, and especially to shutting down other mid laners. When he's not absorbing a bunch, he's just able to stonewall really well. Insanity is unscathed in this game. You can see that. And the number of times they've ganked for him, they've also been able to put gold into Corki's pockets, which is fantastic as well. The big difference is, in this game, at least 100 Thieves are doing, or my apologies, Golden Guardians are doing better kind of controlling the map. Right there, they made a good decision. Tony Top pushed out top. That let them get Rift Herald, but now they get to go into bot lane and potentially contest for the Dragon as well, which is huge, because they've got a powerful Renekton in the early game, they've got a powerful Viego as well alongside it, and they've got the kill onto their ADC. I feel like they don't want to give up second Dragon. It's a very weird place to be like, okay, you should fight here, but if your champions are strong now, fight now. Don't let them get to 2. Don't let them force you into a bad situation where you have to walk in and compete against the Dragon. This is a place where you can step in and say, this is our Dragon, we're not going to let you have it, we're going to start our own stacking game.
And it seems like Golden Guardians are trying to play something towards that play. They did take a reset before Dragon spawned. Dragon is now getting taken, so they're just going to say, we're not going for the fight. We're going to put the Rift Herald down. We're going to try and grab that mid lane tower. It's going to be too much of a risk to try and contest when they weren't able to get the footing as quickly as they wanted. That tower will still go down in the process, though, but that is 2 Drakes going over to 100 Thieves next.
just a tad slow right there. I like the intention behind it, right? You put down Shirley in the attempt to try to force onto mid lane and get some reaction out of 100 Thieves so that you can walk into the river and take the dragon, because a 3k gold advantage is good, but you lost with a 4k, 5k advantage in game number 1. That's not necessarily solidifying in your ability to win a game like this. 2 dragons, however, sets up 100 Thieves for a good position where they can start going for their dragon stacking and for their team fighting once again, but they can't stop it, because again, they're just a little too late on that draw. So instead, they take their gold, they take mid tower, which does open up quite a bit more for the roaming style, and that's going to punish Dawnbray immediately.
Yep, Dawnbray completely locked down by himself in the jungle. Golden Guardians Academy are now getting more and more control of the jungle of 100 Thieves next as they start getting in that deep vision and start roaming from lane to lane. As they do have those outer turrets taken, they can freely just roam to these inners.
Yeah, the biggest thing about this, I think that's the difference between game 1 and this game, is that mid being down means that all of a sudden roaming from Iconic and roaming from Chime is far more impactful. They can go deeper, they can find different routes, they can attack into these lanes, and they can start looking to push advantages at this moment, right? When the mid tower wasn't down, they didn't have that opportunity, and you can see Chime's already bounced around, already looked for plays across multiple different areas, and this is 100 Thieves who are still skinning on their team composition with a Graves, a Corki, and a Senna. They're waiting for scaling. They're going to be incredibly powerful. So Golden Guardians open themselves up an avenue to start attacking immediately. They need to start taking it, right? Because if they fall by the wayside and they start letting Senna and Corki get into 2, 3, 4 items, things still get really hard and they don't win the team fight eventually. So this is the point where they need to be aggressive, especially around the next dragon. They do not give up another dragon. If you give up another dragon with this kind of control, you're asking for the team to just bait you into a very far late game, and these champions are going to be too powerful for you to do.
And you can see Golden Guardians are trying very hard to make this a reality. There's a lot of deep vision they've been applying throughout this game, and they've been setting up quite well for a lot of the objectives that they've been wanting to play around. Now sending Ryoma over to the bottom lane, you're going to have a lot of attention from Golden Guardians Academy towards this bottom lane. It's the only outer tower that still remains. Sniper trying to defend it. Might have been the wrong decision right there, but there is some backup coming, and it's coming very soon. Fnatic able to join Dawnbray. Insanity going to be able to join the fray as well. The tower is too low to be forfeit as Golden Guardians Academy able to take the final outer tower of the game.
The cover is there for the side of 100 Thieves, but again, GGAR could have forced a fight when they don't need to, and especially because, Chime is a good diver, but he can get out very quickly. There's no catch potential onto him. Here, Dawnbray is effectively the only one that can really do that. I guess you can fish with like a W from the Senna, or you can go for Fnatic or something along those lines. But most of the time, you're using your body to go aggress, and that means that the Child of Golden Guardians can focus down whoever dives in that case. So it's a little harder to go for more pick potential. They're looking for 5-on-5 setups, and when you don't give it over to that from the side of Golden Guardians, you're not going to give anything. You're going to make things more difficult for 100 Thieves to try to attain. You can see they're pinging towards Baron. They were pinging that right when they took that bottom tower, which is of interest. They don't have the fastest of fast Baron takes when they've got the Viego as like the damager. That's great, but they don't have like a consistent damage DPS. They don't have like a Jinx or something like that to be able to come out of the DPS. It's just the Jhin, which is good for confirming, but not as good for just like pure outright DPSing that Baron down.
So holding the bot lane, Sniper against Tony Top, who has been having a good display. Talked about it earlier, 2-1-0 so far. Having a CS lead against Sniper, 20 CS lead thus far as well. With the way the state of the game is going, it's been slow control coming out of Golden Guardians Academy. That worry is still there, though. We have a minute until the Drake spawns, and that could potentially be another teamfight timer. We don't want Golden Guardians Academy giving that up. Puts 100 Thieves next in a wonderful spot. They are able to get that, again, 55 seconds before that timer comes up.
This is, to me, the point where GGA have to prove to us that they're capable of winning a game, and the way they do that is by contesting and taking this dragon, right? They can't let 100 Thieves continue to just bully them away from the pit. They've controlled just about every dragon in the course of this series because that's been everything that they've wanted, and it sets them up for their entire game plan. Golden Guardians need to know that, and they need to say, this isn't happening. Like, you will bend to our will this time. We've got the gold, they've got the 4K advantage, they've got champions that spike faster. This is the time. This is where Golden Guardians just have to put their foot down, and they say, no dragon for you. It's not occurring. 100 Thieves can't find a team fight here. This is the time where you need to push in. 100 Thieves are baiting for the team fight. You just gotta take them on it. Take the fight. It's possible.
A lot of these pokes are coming in. The attention is put towards Tony Top, though, who takes a lot of damage. 3-tailed strike looking to go through, but there comes the package through the middle. It's going to be a shutdown going over to Sniper. Your top lane is down. This is where a lot of the gold was allocated on the side of Golden Guardians Academy. Shockwave gonna whiff as well. Golden Guardians have given up everything to be able to get this Drake, and now it's going over to 100 Thieves.
And they're so spread out. They're trying to find a good angle maybe for Tony Top to actually get into this fight from the mid lane. But all it does is it gives this opening for Donbray to find that pick. It gives this opening for Array to find this pick. That is the champion you should have been basing this entire fight around. It is a 2-item gore drinker renekted in the early stage of the game. This is possible. You get him on top of the enemy team. He's doing damage. He's sustaining. He's frontlining. He's doing everything. And they can't get him there. Right? Like, Golden Guardian just can't get to the setup. They can't push into the territory of 100 Thieves because I guess they just lost positioning altogether. And it's really frustrating because Golden Guardians, I feel like if they get a full 5-on-5, they're fine. They've got the damage for it. They've got the champions for it. And yet here they are. They get picked. They lose that they lose that interaction. They lose the dragon. And now 100 Thieves, they're back to being at the sole point.
So many of the champions they've grabbed synergize so well together. There is a wombo combo dream that can be had if Golden Guardians Academy are able to get it. You were talking about the engage and setup. Chime and Ryoma can bring that to the front line. 100 Thieves next choose to challenge them in a 5v5, but it's 100 Thieves next, always with the front foot here, always the faster to set up the situation, forcing Golden Guardians Academy into bad spots. But now Golden Guardians, they're going to be the ones getting control over this barren side of the map. You have Ryoma over in the top lane, just shoving in the waves, Iconic, Chime, the rest of them just gathering vision and denying vision from the jungle of 100 Thieves next.
And Iconic now needs to step up. He's got so much gold on this Viego. He's 2 items in. He's 195 farm. This is the guy that needs to step up in the place of this series. He wants to play the carry. He wants to play the Viego. Get it done, man. Like, this is the time and place to show off what you can do on this champion and in his composition like this. Because he's got to be a good amount of the late game damage, and he's in a position where all of a sudden his items are starting to get there. But we haven't really seen that step up from him throughout the series, so I want to see it before we end up closing. I really want to see Golden Guardians just execute one solid team fight before we end up leaving the series as well. I feel like they haven't been able to do it so far.
I mean, they have the potential there. This is not a lost game, Dean.
No, not at all. It's a position where Golden Guardians, again, I love the Orianna pick. I think the Orianna is going to do incredible things if you land a really good Shockwave when you've got a composition with effectively 3 marksmen inside of it. That's okay. You landed onto 1 or 2 of the marksmen, the team fight just loses so much air behind it from the side of 100 Thieves. It's possible. This is a very good composition for them to be able to actually take a late game fight with if they can get into the opposing backline. Like, a good engagement from Chime or like getting Tony or Iconic onto the squishier members can still win you a fight like this. But 100 Thieves, they're comfortable with the way they've been playing. Golden Guardians are the ones that have to prove to us their 5-on-5 is good enough. And so far it hasn't been. So to me, I'm waiting for the prove it moment. I'm waiting for somebody to do something that's actually going to win them a game.
Golden Guardians Academy, there's so much vision on this side of the map towards the Baron right now. They keep reestablishing it. It's putting 100 Thieves next in a situation where they are afraid to move forward. They're afraid to challenge what can come out from Golden Guardians Academy because there's so much damage here. There's so much pick potential, especially if you walk into Chime. And this is the dance right here from Golden Guardians Academy. Bounce between the top and mid. Try and get 100 Thieves to make a misstep. Now they're looking to grab this top tower. There's a little bit of health left on it. Not able to scrape away that last bit. They're going to back off and still hold on to control. Get the wave set, rinse and repeat.
They've got all 5 members here on top side. They've been pushing in top and mid wave just over repeatedly, but it's not accomplishing them anything, right? They've had no threat on the Baron buff. Now bot lane being pushed means that Tony's going to have to go catch this midway up this lane, and that's going to open up a place where Sniper, I mean, he's going to go take jungle camps, but if they wanted to, they could just put him into mid lane alongside the Senna, shove that out, and buy back timers for multiple members, and that's potential. And you can see they actually put 3 members up the top side to push back Ryoma, and this means they're going to be able to get their own setup into the river. They don't even have to move the Graves into mid lane to accomplish this because they're able to use the rest of their champions to do it very effectively. And now they have an avenue into that Baron pit if they need to from top lane, or at least they control a bit more of the vision when they time for Golden Guardians to come back in and kick it out and try to capture their own setup off this back timer right here.
But another setup you got to watch is going to be that Dragon timer. Dragon Soul just 1 more away. 100 Thieves next. They're able to get that. It is a huge lead ahead. And possibly the last nails in the coffin if they're not careful.
And it's nice because 100 Thieves, they're smart about this. They set up the top river because they want vision control of the Baron buff, so there's no chance of trading these objectives. And then they're just going to put everybody on the map into bot lane or into, mid and bot combination of those, positions so that they can contest for this dragon. That's the river control that they're going to hold.
See Tony top going on to Dawnbray. Package has been grabbed by Insanity. It's been great at cutting off a lot of these escape routes from Golden Guardians Academy when they do get ganked, when they do get caught. Now 100 Thieves next. Inside track. Have priority onto the Drake. They have Tony Top isolated as well. Now Iconic looking to go in as Tony Top dives in as well. Here comes the package and the knock up the backline. Chime trying to do it, but Sniper will take him down. Now running is going to be Tony Top, but Array is waiting in the wings to deliver the pain. Goes gold. It doesn't even give Tony the time to get the damage in. Another shutdown goes through as Ryoma's going to fall. Sniper able to back off in time, but Stixay has his number. But that is an ADC flashing forward. That is your carry flashing forward, and he has no way out. Stixay falls 3 down for Golden Guardians Academy, only costing them Sniper, and Insanity is looking for more as he starts to stalk Iconic, starts to get the autos and looking to land those missiles. One more on the backside, unable to get it, can't get the big one as well, but still 3 fall, and now Dragon Soul picked up by 100 Thieves next.
This game got so much exponentially harder for the side of Golden Guardians off the back of that. Not only do you throw a team fight, you give over Ocean Soul to a team with a Senna, and you got multiple, just sustained characters in the Xin Zhao with the Goredrinker. You've got, the Immortal Shield Bow on your Corki. You got the Graves top lane with the Eclipse and everything else. This was, the setup I've been looking for, right? Where's Ryoma here? He's in the top, and they can't find it in combination with Tony Top and Chime. They get Tony Top into the backline, he gets into multiple members, Chime gets into multiple members, but there's no Shockwave! There's no Shockwave anywhere in here. Ryoma hadn't used it up until this point in the fight, where he has to flash away because Dawnbray's able to get back on top of him. That combination of abilities, that combination of champions is the whole crux of your team fight, and they weren't able to get the most pivotal piece about it, right? If that comes through, all of a sudden maybe Iconic gets resets, maybe they're able to kill multiple members, the AoE damage might be enough to shove everybody out, but they can't get all 3 of them on the same page, and because of that, the team fight now falls to 100 Thieves. They get the soul point, they get all of these characters with more gold in their back pocket that are scaling towards the point that there's just no response from Golden Guardians Academy. 100 Thieves are looking for a clean 3-0 sweep in this series.
Brutal coming out from 100 Thieves so far as they now start to set up towards the top lane. Outer tower still stands up there. They're getting their momentum, but Golden Guardians, they kind of see an inside track here. They're going to look to flank around, potentially catch out Fnatic in the process. 100 Thieves next. Clearing out, they have a lot of backup towards that top side. But Golden Guardians Academy, they're not taking the bait. They're going straight down the mid lane.
They're going to walk down multiple towers. They're going to attempt to shove into the base. There's still 3 members top. 2 of them are backing right now, so it's just Insanity who has teleport. So it's going to be the trade of top inner for mid inner. It's a trade. Golden Guardians get some gold out of it. They get a little bit more, turret pressure out of it. They're hoping, perhaps, that there's a possibility that if they do win a fight at some point, that they can run down mid and maybe be able to win the game off of that. But that timer, I feel like, is ticking away slowly, because the team fights are already hard enough to try to win in the right situation, even when you've got your ultimates up. I guess Rabadon's is going to be done for Ryoma here soon enough, but I feel like 100 Thieves don't even have to take fights if they don't want to. Their range is high, their sustain is insanely high. They don't have to look for the pure 5-on-5 engagement. This feels like something where, they could take, a standoff in the river at Elder Drake or next Baron and just throw damage at the other team, and there's no way for them to sit there and take it.
And they've been behind gold all game, but we've been talking like 100 Thieves next have been in the lead all game, because that has pretty much been the case with the way they've been able to play their map presence, with the way they've been able to take a lot of these late objectives, already having the Dragon Soul, having so much gold onto Insanity, 3-0-3 over there in the mid lane. Everything's going well for 100 Thieves.
It's a position where 100 Thieves has the gold in the right place, right? Iconic over this series has had pretty consistent CS advantages and gold advantages over Fnatic, but the early pressure has not been there. They haven't been able to capitalize on it at all as Dawnbray gets engaged. Yeah,
attempting a engage onto the tanky support there, but there comes the counter engage coming out of 100 Thieves next, and they focus down Ryoma, blow him to smithereens. There is Tony Top, but there's 5 members of 100 Thieves next, gunning you down. A shutdown for Insanity as 100 Thieves next. They take to the top lane, the mid lane. I think they might as well take Baron as well.
I mean, it's going to have to be a miracle steal from Iconic. I don't think you can give them this, right? Like, this is a situation where you almost never steal this. They've got vision for it. They have ways to contest it. You've got Smite. Iconic's got it in there, right? Like, there's no way he wins this without... Like, this game is lost if they lose this Baron almost certainly.
Oh, and the package over the wall. Valkyrie to follow. Goodbye, Iconic. Goodbye, Baron. And this could be goodbye, Golden Guardians Academy.
The siege begins, right? Like, this is a situation where all of a sudden 100 Thieves, they've got Ocean Soul, they've got Baron, they've got range, they've got wave clear. Even if they accomplish nothing except taking outer towers and pushing up mid and bot, they just go to Elder Drake and then they do anything they want on the map. There's no response from Golden Guardians. This is a really, really terrible way for Golden Guardians to eventually go out, because it feels like they've had such good performances in 3 games. Gold advantages in all 3 of them, and yet here they are, 3rd game in a row. The soul is given up, the late game is achieved by 100 Thieves, and they are the ones that are incapable of forcing their will in a 5-on-5 situation too early in the game. 100 Thieves, they've challenged Golden Guardians to win this series, and Golden Guardians haven't been up to the task.
Wow. Oh, Chime, you can see a little bit of a fake out there, trying to figure out, oh, do you have backup? Do I have backup? Wasn't the case for Chime. Bad spot right there. Just a couple of autos coming out of Array. Punishes his health bar, sends it back to the respawn, and 100 Thieves back to the siege as they're going to take down this bot lane inner.
Easy enough with a wave stack like this with the Baron buff. There's not even a ridiculous amount of wave clear in a game like this either, because like Orianna's pretty much the only one. She's on the cross map right now, and they attack that instantly. Like, who's gonna clear this wave? Jin's gonna press W, kill one of those Baroned up cannon minions. That's the best you've got. But they're able to tear through the bottom inhibitor tower, and that means the base is now broken. But again, the important bit here is that Dragon's up in 30 seconds. That's Elder Drake that's gonna be up, and they've got mid and bot pushed all the way into the base of Gold Guardians Academy. It's so much harder to go out and contest against this composition, especially when they can entrench with what their setup looks like right now if they don't just win the game right here.
Dominus is popped. Tony Top going to try and beat the front line to tank. He gets knocked up by the 3-talent strike. Here comes the ultimate from Array. Jumping over the wall will be Insanity. He tries to find more, but it's going to be Ryoma who gets found in the process as Tony Top still tries to find the defense. He's still being that tanky boy, but the base is now in flames. Golden Guardians Academy are on their last legs. Iconic tries to cut the wave, but there's still a super minion wave coming in from the bot lane, and there's health bars completely depleted for Golden Guardians Academy. 100 Thieves next. This is an org that has dived into developmental, a premier org in North American developmental, and at the top of 2022, they present one of the most terrifying rosters North American amateur has ever seen.
You could say that again, and you could say it again, and you could say it again. This roster, I mean, we've heard all about how it would compete in LCS, it would compete in Academy. They just brought down one of the top Academy teams right now in excruciatingly convincing fashion. That wasn't just 3 good games. It wasn't 3 competitive games that they won on a coin flip. That was 3 of the most dominating games I've ever seen, even when they're at a gold deficit. It is so hard to make your team look this good when you're down in gold. It's so hard to make your team look that impressive in every single game, but there was not a moment of weakness, I felt like, for even a single instance of the map from the side of 100 Thieves. How do you beat a juggernaut like that?
We've had so many talks about this when it comes to confidence and arrogance, but it is pure confidence coming out from the side of 100 Thieves next. Sniper, Array, all of them. They said they were ready for Academy-level competition, and Dean, they put their money where their mouth is. Everyone performing so well in this last one, Insanity having some of the great flanks there, cutting off a lot of these escape paths. It was good stuff for 100 Thieves next, and they definitely deserve this win here. First place in the LCS Proving Ground Circuit qualifiers.
Absolutely was. 100%. Golden Guardians had an amazing run. They had some very great moments. They had some incredible play throughout the tournament. I feel like this finals wasn't really indicative of the Golden Guardians we were expecting on the day or anything they put out through the tournament, which is unfortunate. It happens from time to time where like a team is not going to be able to live up to their expectations, because we expected this. A lot of people expected a full best of 5 type final or a lot more competition. This kind of didn't look like Golden Guardians was ready for this, which is it's completely fair. It happens from time to time. 100 Thieves, they were ready and raring to go. They won in every position. They were the dominating team on the day for very good reason. And they threw down now a challenge to not only other teams inside of Amateur, but to all Academy teams that they're not coming for these open qualifier titles. They're coming for the Proving Grounds title. And they are absolutely the contender to look at right now.
You could say that again, Dean. A phenomenal performance coming out of 100 Thieves next. But that is going to do it here for the casting desk. We want to thank you for joining us here and just the games we've seen here today, all these players, what they've been able to provide for us. This is some intense stuff. We're going to throw it over to short break. When we return, the analyst desk, I know they're aching to break this one down, so be sure to stay tuned.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Unified Proving Ground Circuit. We're done with the finals. Sniper, you got the swag on. You're ready. First competitive. You take everything. How does it feel, man?
Feels okay, I guess. I mean, I was
Just
feeling
okay?
confident. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. They're a good team, and we won, so I'll take it.
Hey, look, you even got to pull out the Riven. Unfortunately, you did say that you were too excited about that Riven game at the end of it.
Yeah, game was a little boring because like he was just playing safe the entire time, which I don't blame him. I'm playing Riven with Ignite. But I actually could have solo killed him like at level 6, I think it was, when he went for a certain minion. I could have just all-ined him there and I could have gotten a solo kill, but it's fine. We learned from our mistakes.
Yeah, hey, look, and learning y'all did, and game number 3, you guys did have a little bit of a rougher time in the very beginning. Golden Guardians seemed like they had figured out a way. They got over the red side, took it away from y'all.
Yeah.
How were the comms going throughout that game?
I mean, the comms are normal. I think there's actually a play where I misclicked my flash on Graves. I did it on Riven too. I don't know like what's going on. I'm not nervous or anything, because like personally I always play with confidence, and I don't really get nervous about like series or like just like big games, I guess you can say. But yeah, comms are normal. Everyone is chill. We knew we had the series, and we took the dub. Take it.
Hey, look, and it's gotta feel good. The dub is here. The finals are y'all's. You guys secured it, and you guys beat an academy team. That's gotta feel even better for you guys coming out from as an amateur org here.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels well, or it definitely feels good. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was really fun. This team personally, like, they don't play scared, which I like. So yeah, I just got to do my thing.
And Papa Smithy gave you guys some high praise too, so I'm kind of curious. How are you feeling about that? It said that y'all could take on just about anybody.
Oh, I didn't see that actually, but yeah, no, Papa Smithy's been helping a lot. He's like the GOAT. And yeah, like he's just insane manager.
I hear it. Love to hear it. Love to hear the support. Here, you guys the final. You got the Riven game. There's so many different storylines that get to come in here. Last thing for this right here, is this just the beginning of what is going to be some long-term domination? We heard the terminology, a shadow is being casted. Does the shadow continue to be casted here, Sniper?
Even though I don't think I'm like LCS level ready yet, I'm honestly just like looking forward to playing the LCS. I don't like, I mean, amateur and academy, like both of them are like, they're obviously fun to play, but like I want to get to the point where I start playing versus LCS players. Even like scrimming against them, right? That will definitely help me a lot. Yeah, you'll see us continue dominating amateur.
Okay, so continue to dominate amateur. You guys have taken down one academy team. It sounds like you got your eyes set on a much grander scheme, though, going into wanting to look at the LCS to begin to dominate. Any last words that you would like to say to the people who have been tuning in, joining in with the 100 Thieves adventure, as you guys have been ever so dominant here inside the circuit qualifier?
Yeah, one thing before, Viper, he actually told me to play Riven into Gwen, like a couple days ago, because I just stopped playing Riven completely, right? Because, like, even if I don't play her for, let's just say, like, 5 months, I'll still be, like, the best Riven player there is, you know? Or, like, in NA at least. So, I mean...
Better than Viper?
Nah. His Riven's too goated. His Riven's too goated. But yeah, no, shout out to my family. Like, they're watching downstairs. They're watching me downstairs right now. Especially my dad. He's, like, been super supportive about all of this. Letting me play League, obviously. And yeah, my sister, all my brothers, my mom, they've just been really supportive, and I'm glad to make them proud.
Hey, you're doing fantastic, Sniper. We love to hear it. Love to hear the confidence. And we're looking forward to seeing more of that in the future. With that being said, thank you for coming in for this interview. Congratulations on the dub to you and 100 Thieves next. That being said, we are going to go ahead and go over to our... Yep. As lads, we are here. Finals, a 3-0 from 100 Thieves next. I mean, Smats, I'm going to just start with you real quick. You called it.
I deserve the prediction crown from the caster predictions. If they let me predict, I would have beaten Orbital, I promise. Yeah. What can I say, man? 3-0. I had faith in the boys the whole time. And the faith is rewarded.
The faithful have been rewarded. Okay, yeah.
I was with you on that one.
Yeah!
I believe.
Man, you're just abandoning me like this? I thought we were getting along the past 3 games, Mike Young. Just being left out here to the Wolves.
I'm just saying. I was rooting for my boys.
Get this Academy caster out of here. He's biased. This is the amateur stream.
I had a close series.
Yeah.
That series wasn't as close as I thought it would be.
Honestly, game 3, though, Golden Guardians, it did feel like they were able to grasp a couple things to try and get themselves into the game. They had a good lead for themselves early game. It just, 100 Thieves were able to come back. They found their moments. And I feel like that's something that we absolutely need to highlight. As Golden Guardians were no slouch coming into this, but game 1, game 2, 100 Thieves had their number. And in game number 3, 100 Thieves just called them out on one thing, and it just felt like it just kept happening over and over and over again.
Yeah, in all seriousness, Golden Guardians did have some really solid early games. They had the gold lead really solidly in this one as well for Game 3. It's just there is one particular objective that they let fall to the wayside every single game. I believe Mike Young has the stat for that one.
Yeah, I noticed that, like, 100 Thieves was getting every single dragon, literally all the souls every single game. And I'd have to give that up to the jungle. And jungle support synergy a ton with just roaming a ton around mid and creating that window to control that river. We saw it in the second game too, where they were just ganking Corki on repeat. But even in this game, where it was a little bit slower paced than the second game, they were just playing more objective focus. So even if they lost like 1 game or 2 games, I still think in the end of the day, 100 Thieves deserves to win, the series entirely because of the general team synergy that everyone has for objectives and just playing to the win condition.
And we have a couple replays to really highlight what you were just talking about with Fnatic, because I feel like this is a player that's been playing for the team, making sure that they get ahead in all the right places. And it started off with Fnatic looking towards this top side of the map.
I think that, like, throughout this series, we saw Fnatic start to find more plays in the early game. I know that that's something where yesterday Fnatic wasn't too thrilled about the series against Winthrop, given the fact that Mordio had some pretty creative level 1s that I think caught him off guard. But here, this was really unfortunate for Tony Top, as Sniper throws the smoke screen. Tony doesn't see it, gets chunked out, and miraculously is actually able to get out of this one.
Yeah,
Really big
honestly,
shocker.
just from a jungle perspective, I think it's a really good play in the end. Even though they could have just flashed and killed the Renekton right away, but it's a really good look even on the 100 Thieves side because they're playing to the Graves. The volatile lane in the top lane where you'll have a really strong lane bully in the Graves, but Renekton also wants to play really aggressive. So if you kind of slow down that aggression from the enemy team there, it just generally helps the entire team and helps Graves reach to the mid game state.
And you did see that was a thing that Fnatic really wanted to push home. This was not the first gank. There was a repeat, and they wanted to send the message.
The plays were just so solid. It's the same for this game as the last one as well, where he blew the flash early and then went for the repeat. You had something to say, Mike?
Yeah, so here the repeat's really good because generally like Renekton's a lane bully. So like if Renekton can't get ahead and he can't play for those plates, then Graves is just going to be a better champion at majority of the game.
And this is where 100 Thieves were looking good in a lot of different aspects here. And then they fell off. Golden Guardians did a fantastic job taking control of the game, using the tools that they had to make sure that they would get ahead and find different ways to do such. But then it went south. And we already talked about this statistic, 12-0. Dragons all in favor of 100 Thieves next. And this is the first big example here where we see 100 Thieves make a huge pick to get themselves another dragon.
This replay was a bit of a mistake from Tony, as he is split from his team. Chime isn't here to help or shadow him, and him stepping up in that choke when there's no wave ends up just getting caught by a Ray, chain CC down beautifully by 100 Thieves next, and this is something that we saw throughout the series. The 12-0 Dragon, I think Mike Young correctly crediting the jungle support duo that 100 Thieves next had throughout this series, but GG definitely made some mistakes around trading out Rift Heralds for Dragons, where game one, Array got way more gold, and I think way more out of it than GG did with that first Rift Herald. This is another instance where they got caught, didn't properly set up, and I think GG, when it came to Dragons, every single Dragon they set up was through mid. I think that with this comp, you can actually set up through bot pretty well. You can have Rakan, Renekton kind of pincer flank in the choke, something that we've seen a lot of teams doing pretty well. Specifically, KT is one of the ways that they upset Gen G rather heavily in their series in LCK yesterday. If anyone's been, or a couple days ago, if anyone's tuned into some games across the world. But I want to see GG. Like it feels like they just have some smaller things to clean up. And I mean, we've seen this team kind of grow throughout all three stages of play. But there were a couple mistakes today that I hadn't seen from them the last couple weeks, and I don't know if that's because 100 Thieves Next were really just the ones to push them to their limits, or just wasn't their day.
It felt like it was a storm, right? Of all sorts of different things that were coming in, and unfortunately for Golden Guardians, it wasn't in their favor. And 100 Thieves, they know how to ride those wins. They were able to sail on to victory. And there's one last play here from 100 Thieves, which was basically them solidifying themselves to be able to get that 3-0 and get themselves into the finals. Mike Young, you were very high up on this play that actually happened from 100 Thieves.
So I really like this play in general because they waited for the package timer specifically before even walking into the river. Like I saw Insanity waiting in base just before the dragon spawned. And here the Valkyrie actually puts like a Rumble ulti down on top of two of their champions, even Rakan as well. So I thought it was just really well played by Insanity there with the Valkyrie package right there, and kind of setting up like a fifth Porky ability that just game changed that entire engage.
I think this, alongside the Veigar highlight reel that we got in Game 2, really solidifies. I think we can all agree that Insanity was the series MVP for the finals. He really showed his experience. He showed that he is a very reliable carry, a very reliable facilitator, and just everything that you could possibly want out of a mid laner at this level, and perhaps above that as well. He really earned the victory alongside the rest of his team, but it's really hard to ignore a guy like this when we get to see Sniper's first Riven game in this series, and it's completely outshone by a Veigar.
Just unlucky, I think, is the word we look for. And I want to look at another thing that was shown here. We got actually a nice little graphic of a heat map to kind of support some of this support conversation that we were having going on here, as we do have a comparison between Chime and Donbray. And I just want to highlight this. Look at where Donbray is on this map.
I generally really like seeing a support walk with the jungle a lot. A lot of the times where I see the most successful jungle ganks is when you're only ever ganking when your support can move, so that you can dive mid lane, you can catch enemy junglers roaming alone. So it's kind of nice to see here.
Actually, the biggest thing that I'm noticing for Donbray is that he never once actually walked directly bottom lane. You can see that there's no direct line from the Nexus to the bottom lane in the lane alone. He always went to the jungle. Yeah, that's pretty entertaining. He didn't do it top lane either, for what it's worth, but he was always trying to make something happen on the map. I think it's really cool. And
props to Donbray, because he is a sub for this team, right?
Yeah.
Now that Busio's back in Academy, spoiler alert for this upcoming week, Sword will be playing with this team for the next tournament, and Donbray is teamless and just won. So really curious to see what happens with Donbray. I think that he had a nice series, much improved from yesterday, and hopefully we get to see him in the next Proving Grounds tournament as well.
100%. If he's LFT, there should be a lot of eyes on Donbray, especially with the accommodations that he's had inside of this. And I real quick want to throw it over to the caster predictions one final time. That way we can kind of see exactly where everybody fell today. I believe this is a Orbital taking it all thing, but I do want to go ahead and celebrate it. There you see it. Orbital is going to have the crown. Play-by-plays, biggest brain, as we can see.
I think that there were... I'm pretty sure that there were 27 total matches, if I did my math correctly. So 20 out of 27 is pretty good. Actually, I think he was 21.
21?
Before, yeah. That's pretty insane, honestly. Big ups to Orbital for getting so many of those correct. That's a pretty difficult thing to do. Now, of course, if you watch all the death segments, you'll know that I actually got all of them correct. But that's neither here nor there.
You don't fact check that though. No, don't go back and see.
I think I probably missed like. I think I missed like maybe.
No. You missed none. I missed none. No, don't worry. That being going on, this is the end of the series. This is the first qualifier here, and I want to go ahead and pick y'all's brains real quick before we close everything out. How do y'all feel watching through this first qualifier, seeing some of the exciting things? I'm gonna start with you, Cubby. You look like you're ready. You got something on your mind right now.
Yeah. I want to talk about some of the ramifications that we've seen today, as I think that this past week of NA League of Legends saw Jojo Pion and Danny make it to the finals. It was Jojo Pion's first tournament playing at the LCS level. This is the highest level of play that General Sniper is legally allowed to play in due to Riot rules and his young age of 15, and he won. NA talent, I feel like with moving into the second year of this pipeline, and the third year of things being more invested, even thinking back to the 2020 season of Scouting Grounds where you competed at the highest level, Mike Young, I have hope for NA. These guys actually give me hope for NA moving forward. I think that the level of play that people like Sniper, like Jojo Pion, and like some of the other, even 15-year-olds that we had in this tournament, thinking of Griffin, who played really well, Crimson, of course, Sniper's twin. This is his first tournament, and although I think that he has some room to improve, he had a really nice showing on some of those Syndra games, especially. There are a lot of good young players that we have between Academy and Amateur, and I'm really excited to see them grow and move to that LCS stage, because someone like Sniper, he already has his eyes on that prize, and given the pedigree of his family and given the accomplishments that he's already been able to do at the age of 15, he's on his way to that level. So I get really excited about NA talent. And I think that we have a lot to be excited for right now, looking at some of the players that we have in these tournaments.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm super impressed by how humble Sniper is when it comes to working hard even after a win. Like I could have played that better. You know, I could have solo killed him if I, you know, went in at the right time. And even though like it's not the same as like him throwing or like dying, he's like, well, I could have gotten an extra kill. So that's pretty impressive to me.
No, I can't say it better than these two guys. I'm excited that our first tournament of 2022 is all wrapped up. Big congratulations to 100 Thieves next. Like I said, I knew they could do it. I had faith in the boys. I can't wait to see what form they take with Sword on the roster in the next one. And honestly, if they're already 3-0ing Academy teams, the rest of them better watch out for Proving Grounds, because these youngsters are coming for the title.
Papa Smithy said if they were an LCS team, they wouldn't be bottom 2. So
Exactly.
Who knows?
I love to see it. With that being said, thank you to everybody who came out and watched. Shoutouts to our casters, Deseret and Rebel Fatu, who gave us an epic cast on the day. Shoutouts to our production crew that have been doing phenomenal work, and our observers. Thank you all for tuning in to the first qualifier. And it's Travesty. I've been joined here with my lovely analysts the entire time. Smat's holding it down. And my absolutely phenomenal guest of Cubby and Mike Young. That being said, take care, everyone, and have yourselves a fantastic night.